2+2 is proud to bring you the 2+2 Pokercast, presented by the PokerStars VIP Club.
This week on the Pokercast, Leo Wolpert, Pee-Gate, and Poker Jeopardy. Now here they are. Breakfast meats for $800, Alex, Adam, and Terrence.
Welcome to the 2+2 Pokercast, presented by the PokerStars VIP Club. I am your host, A. Schwartz, alongside Roscoe P. Toll Train. What was that?
That was Drunk Guy Caxton.
Oh, Drunk Guy Caxton? Oh, he was on the Joey Ingram podcast finally, and they did.
Is there anything better than like drunk nerdy guys?
Yeah,
it's awesome.
Like, because drunk bros are like the worst, right? But like drunk nerdy guys, they're just. I mean, yeah, I feel like maybe I should check this
Hollywood.
out.
You should watch it. I'm sure it's a lot of fun. That voice, of course, is Terrence Chan, joining us from some sunny, sandy country. Thailand still, T?
You know, Adam, it's slightly overcast today.
What are you going to do? How are you going to go outside? Everything's falling apart. The whole plan is, if there's a cloudy?
There's like multiple clouds out there. I'm not even talking about like one cloud. I mean, it's kind of getting me down. But I think I'll be able to make it through the show. That
was my terrible Triumph the Insult Comic Dog impression. Have you ever seen the one where he does the weather in Hawaii on the news? Did you see that one? No, nobody saw that. Okay, so yeah, Triumph did the weather on some Fox affiliate, I think, in Hawaii, and he had to do like it on a day when it was cloudy. He's like, "Oh, Armageddon in Hawaii." One of my favorites, Triumph.
This is how I feel. This is my life.
It is. Yeah. All right, so let's get on to it. We got a lot of stuff to get to. Our guest today is Leo Wolpert, who is a professional poker player and lawyer. He is going to come in and talk to us. We're going to have a little bit of fun with him, T, and we're going to play. He's been on Jeopardy, the actual show, and we're going to play poker.
He lost to the men, didn't he?
Well, yeah, he did. He lost to Ken Jennings. We'll ask him about that. We're going to do Poker Jeopardy. So, T, you are going to take them on. I've done up 6 different categories of questions, four questions each, and a final Jeopardy category. Might be a little bit of fun. So, are you going to get some money on this? Is there going to be some gambling, maybe?
Yeah, that's a good spot for me. Actually, do Jeopardy against a guy who's been on Jeopardy. No, I figured I would just Sean Connery troll you the whole way.
Oh, okay. That would be good. Yeah, clips from Norm Macdonald on SNL doing Sean Connery would be perfect for this. So yeah, we're going to have him coming up in the second segment. We've got a lot of stuff to get to. T, Powerball madness overtook North America. Not sure if you were following this online at all. $1.3 billion was the jackpot. 3 people ended up winning, and the whole country can now go back to actually leading productive lives now that they're not standing in lineups for 3 hours to buy Powerball tickets.
Yeah, they're like standing in line for like 25 cents of EV or something like that. I've seen multiple actually by now, like EV estimates. You know, it's a poker show. We can talk about this stuff. With multiple EV estimates of like buying a ticket when the Powerball is X. I think Marginal Revolution blog, the great blog, did it when the jackpot was a mere 800 million.
Right.
Kind of worked out that the EV, like the flat EV of the ticket, is like $2.73 if you didn't share it with anybody. But of course, there's multiple things, right? You actually don't just get 1.3 million or 800 million. You get those like annual payments, right? And then so you've got to like decline for, inflation, the marginal value of money going forward. So you adjust, and then you have to obviously adjust for the fact that people will split the prize some good number of the time. So like they estimated on the 800 million that your actual winnings is probably like 372 million, plus the government takes 40%. So that cuts it down to 223 million. So a $2 Powerball ticket at an $800 million jackpot, which started off significantly plus EV, ends up being like 75 cents, right? A $2 ticket ends up having an EV of about 75 cents when you consider chopping it, when you consider taxes, and it's probably not much better for 1.3. And then so, but I guess the actual like life EV isn't the money so much, obviously, and bankroll requirements for this would be insane anyway. But it's the sort of the anticipation and the sort of dreaming, I guess, that you get out of the ticket, right? So
Yeah.
like, even if you're taking it the worst of it by $1.25, if you get like $1.25 worth of dreams, I guess that's the idea.
Yeah, and then you'll get a lot of or I don't know if you saw them online, but there's all these. This guy won the lottery and his life turned upside down, and he died 3 years later or something.
Right.
Yeah.
The broke lottery winner is obviously like a significant trope in this stuff. It happens seemingly way too often.
And then my favorite stat was if you had to drive a mile to the convenience store to get a Powerball ticket, like if you were going to go buy one, and you had to drive a mile to the 7-Eleven, you were 9 times more likely to die on the way to get the ticket than you were to win, which kind of puts it in perspective a little bit. Yeah, so anyway, we can all go back to spending our money on food and shelter, which will be nice for a lot of people.
It's a good thing poker's illegal, right?
Right, yeah. It's just
offshore gambling websites.
Yeah, and the worst part, of course, and Andrew Barber and others on Twitter were talking about, what a massive, movement of wealth this really is, from poor people to another. Basically, when you look at people who play the lottery, maybe not so much when it's 1.3 billion, but generally these Powerball things are, the vast majority of people buying these tickets are people who aren't doing well in life, or
they're taxing poor people.
Taxing the poor.
This is tremendous. The lottery is a tremendous poor people tax. It's not intended to be, but de facto it ends up taxing the shit out of poor people. Whereas actually, like things like traditional casino gambling tend to be more what economists would call what's the word for it? Elastic. It's like sort of like people. If you're worth say $100,000, it's closer to like 10 times more like you're more likely to gamble 10 times more money than somebody who's worth $10,000, but that doesn't really scale the lottery tickets. Like the lottery tickets, a disproportionate amount of income is spent by poor people on lottery tickets, so it's a very regressive tax.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. I don't know. I know you're a music fan, Ross. Terrence, not so sure about you, but David Bowie passing was a pretty big deal this week. I grew up in David Bowie's era. He was a guy that I loved to listen to his music. And
which era? The Ziggy Stardust era?
Ziggy Stardust, 80s, 90s. I mean, that's the thing about Bowie, right? He was
around for a long time.
He was a big part of the music scene for so many years. But that one was pretty big deal. We've had a bunch of people and big figure, public figures die recently, but that one was pretty tough. And my daughter was asking me, "Who's this David Bowie guy that everybody's talking about?" And it was really hard to explain to her, the impact that Bowie had on culture and music, for 20 or 30 years. It's difficult to explain it, but the way I ended up explaining it to her was Bowie was probably, in my opinion, one of the 2 greatest rock stars in history. If you look at like Freddie Mercury and Bowie on stage and how they commanded an audience, they were just fantastic to watch. I was lucky enough to see Bowie in concert. I never saw Queen, but
they don't teach gangster shit in history.
This is. But he was fearless. He was just completely fearless on stage. He could, in an era when it wasn't, he's risking a lot to get dressed up in drag and go on stage and do things. He was happy to do it, and made it okay for a lot of people that maybe that was a problem for. Really going to miss Bowie and his. I don't know if you guys saw it, but he released his final album like 3 days before he died, and one of the songs is about his death. And it was really kind of haunting. He'd been battling cancer for a long time.
Didn't hear that part.
But R.I.P. Mr. David Bowie. Yeah, a little quick sport.
Is he going to be like Tupac and release like 12 albums after he dies?
Make more money after he dies.
Yeah, they'll dig up the unreleased stuff.
Maybe. You never know.
Was he gay?
I don't know. I really don't know. I think he was bi. Maybe.
There is a rumor that he was caught in bed with Mick Jagger.
Yeah, there was that one for years and years and years. Yeah, and you'd think back to the 70s; they were all experimenting
pre-AIDS,
with all
mid-coke.
kinds of drugs. So, did you watch the Republican debate last night? Do you guys watch any of these? They're so fun to watch.
China!
Yeah, there was so much China. I'm watching this, and all I can do, and somebody else tweeted it, I can't remember who it was, they were laughing their head off because and he said it maybe 15 times. This is Trump saying China over and over, and it was in that tone, and I'm just laughing my head off thinking Ross must just be loving this.
I can't. Well, first of all, I don't have cable, so I usually just watch, Young Turks wrap up, biggest winner, biggest loser.
Oh, okay, sure.
And then get the satirical take on it, like the Daily Show, and
yeah, no, it's good fun.
I literally couldn't do some shit, but
yeah, I mean,
I don't watch it for anything other than the entertainment value.
It is
entertainment. Funny. It's great to watch.
Like we got our good old.
It's like some bad reality TV show.
It is.
That's like really popular. Well, it's like the reality TV show, where everybody gets a vote, which I guess is like everybody reality TV show, right? It's like this reality TV show, but like 100 million people are going to like elect the one guy, off the island or on the island, I suppose it were. And it's I mean, like, politics is just like a big sporting event.
Yeah.
Like that's functionally what it is. It's not significantly different to me than like the NFL or the NBA, right? Like people have their teams that they cheer for, and like it's quasi rooted in like some sort of logic and sentiment, but it's really just like, what team do I cheer for?
Hey, we've got a horse in the race too. We've got a Canadian kid.
Oh, Ted Cruz.
Ted Cruz, the Canadian immigrant. Yeah, he's born in Calgary.
He was born, but it doesn't make him Canadian. I don't know if you watched the debate. He is certainly American. He made it quite clear.
Okay, well, he was born in a different country, but he doesn't seem to like people who are born in different countries.
No, he doesn't.
So
putting up walls. Did you see these guys who? Just to quickly finish this up, but did you see the guys who overtook this state building in Oregon?
The Oregon, yeah.
You seen these guys?
I'm vaguely aware of the Oregon militia.
Yeah. So what happened was they were running out of supplies or something, and they sent out a request for supplies and with their address. So please send us stuff.
Oh yeah.
And everybody started mailing them literally bags of dicks.
Yeah. Bags of dicks, sex toys, all sorts of sex toys.
So they're getting
there's a good clip of
they're getting bags of dicks emailed or mailed to them, and it's fucking hilarious. I just was laughing my head off for that.
Well, all they need to do is like figure out how eBay works.
Oh no, they came up with that idea. They thought it was the most genius thing ever.
Was that the militia?
Yeah. They said that we're going to resell this stuff, and they literally said, "Ha, economics."
Guys, there you go.
But it's funny because they're
an Amazon reseller too.
It's just funny, these probably extremely conservative white fellas out in the bush
with bags of dicks
trying to sell dildos on the internet,
like setting up a warehouse.
They don't care. they're clearly down with dildos on the internet.
They are. Yeah. I love that they're.
Well, they were upset that they received it, and then they thought, yeah.
Yeah, well, good fun.
Really great fun.
Quick sports update. This is the last time you're going to have to hear this. Adam Heath takes down the Pokercast Fantasy Football League. He beat me in the finals. Congratulations to Adam.
It was an all-Adam finals?
It was Adam v. Adam. Yep, it was Adam squared in the final. Bournemouth, they got thumped by West Ham away this week, 3-1. And Wednesday beat Bolton 3-2. Wednesday's doing quite well, actually. They're high up in the championship ladder, so go Wednesday, go. All right, so we're going to get on to some, in case you missed it in the sec, we're going to do Internet Poker's Wall of Fame. I slipped the hall in there. Wall of Fame, but Leo Wolpert's going to suggest the guy that he thinks should be up on the Wall of Fame. T, you like that idea? Letting our guest.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We'll see if if he ends up trolling us too. It may just
he could.
It may be a troll entry.
We just
was it his idea or your idea?
It was my idea, and he was down. And I think we just have to. If he's trolling us, fair play. We've got to accept whatever his troll is.
It's the internet. It's all about trolling.
Yeah.
It's what people do.
It's a hat tip to trolling.
Last night I was walking home from the casino, and I was listening to Remco's interview with Tony G.
I listened to that. I did. It was great.
Great.
Yeah. Tony was a little bit subdued. He wasn't as normal.
Well, he's a politician now. He's running for Prime Minister of Lithuania.
He's second in voting.
Yeah.
By the way, he's the second.
Really
Terrence. He's the second favorite for Prime Minister of Lithuania.
It's pretty funny.
Like in the betting markets.
Yeah, in the betting markets for the next Prime Minister of Lithuania, he is the number 2. I think he's like 3-1.
But I think he qualifies for an IPWAF.
Nipwoff? Yeah, he could be up there. No question.
I've never played poker with a head of stake before, and so this will be my opportunity. I mean, it'll be retroactive. I played with him like 4 years ago,
right?
Have you ever played poker with a head of state, or even like a mayor, like somebody who was in control of a political entity?
Could actually get something done? No, I have not. It's not as far as I know, anyway.
Yeah, so there you go. I'm pulling for him just so I can say I played poker with a man who runs a country.
The G. Yeah, Roscoe Report. Check that out if you do enjoy stuff like that. Great podcast. Let's get on some in case you missed it.
How did he miss the open goal? 6x4, and he comes up 0. Oh, no!
Oh, yes! He missed it!
He's missed it! How on earth did he miss that?
Before we get on to the first item in case you missed it, that, oh no, how did he miss that drop there reminded me of the Seattle Seahawks versus the Minnesota Vikings last weekend. You guys aren't huge sports fans. Of course, I'm a huge Seahawks fan.
Yeah. I am a huge sports fan. I just don't like your lame sport.
Sorry.
You
were very specific in your sports fandom. Hockey, MMA, right?
Yes.
Okay.
GPL.
I balanced my range a little bit more. I've got the NFL in there, and the Seahawks, listen to this, this is a playoff game, the wild card weekend. They're up a point on the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings, in the last play of the game, or 30 seconds left in the game, have a 27-yard field goal to pull ahead by 2 points and likely win the game because Seattle had no timeouts and maybe 20 seconds left. Blair Walsh, who is a good kicker and was 4 for 4 during the game, including longer ones, misses by a mile a 27-yard field goal that all three of us are better than even money to make.
He goofed it
to send the Vikings through. So way to go.
What's the historical miss rate on a, say, 25-30 yard field goal? Like, was he due? I wonder.
Was he? Well, right? There's no due.
Because
due?
It's clearly not 100%. But
no,
if it's like
no. Yeah, it's probably like 93, somewhere in there, I'm going to guess. 93%.
So whatever. I mean, as long as he makes the next 14 of them, then.
What is like the poker analogy for that happening?
It was a two-outer.
Yeah?
I'm going to say it was a two-outer.
Well, if he's saying, it's 93%, then it's in that ballpark. So, he just make the next 14 and, hopefully people forget about it. But they won't.
They will not.
Hey, speaking of a classic race and a sport that you like, I rewatched that Lawler-Condit fight.
Oh, it was good. It was 12 seconds.
No, that was 25 minutes.
Oh, sorry. I'm thinking
McGregor.
25 minutes of standing, trading blows.
Oh, was it good?
Yeah,
it was insane.
Each other with like fists and feet.
Can you explain? I don't want to. We shouldn't spend too long, but can you explain why Lawler won that? Because as an amateur UFC watcher, it looked like Condit was kind of controlling that.
Yeah, there was a lot of people who thought Carlos Condit won that fight. I mean, it's actually 4 of the 5 rounds are very clear, right? So for those who don't know MMA or boxing or whatever, it's scored round by round. It's not like, I think this guy won the fight. But every round has a winner, basically, and the guy who wins the most rounds fundamentally wins the fight. So everybody pretty much agreed, and all the judges at ringside agreed that Condit won round 1 and round 4, and everybody agreed that Lawler won round 2 and round 5. So you remember, like, round 5, Lawler was just beating the piss out of him all over the place. So it really just comes down to round 3, which, if you watch it again, is actually really, really close. Lawler hits him with the harder shots, but Condit hits him with way more shots.
Right.
So that's sort of a question of how you score that. These things are subjective, right? Like, if you hit me 20 times and I don't really get hurt, and I hit you like 3 times, but I'm just like wobbling you and you're kind of stumbling all over the place like a drunk, some drunk outside of a bar. There are people that interpret that different ways. So 2 of the judges scored that for round 3 for Lawler, and 1 of the judges scored round 3 for Condit. And so it comes down to like that close. I mean, they had a bunch of media, and most people scored it for Condit, but it was a pretty close round. So it wasn't like robbery of the century or anything.
Yeah, I guess it also kind of makes a potential rematch possible.
Yeah, I mean, I think that rematch is more likely when somebody's like, oh, that guy got screwed so hard, and then people are like, well, that was an insane fight. We want to watch it again anyway and give both of these guys even more brain damage than they suffered the first time.
Yep.
All right, in case you missed it, the PCA is just wrapped up in lovely Nassau in the Bahamas. We talked last week about the 100K Super High Roller. It wasn't over when we recorded, but Bryn Young MJ Kenny ended up taking the title down in $1.7 million. World Series of Poker champion, or 2015 champion Joe McKeon ended up being the runner-up. The big name final tables you would expect in 100K buy-in, and Kush Mendiva third, Mustafa Khan at fourth, David Peters fifth, Ike, before he got drunk and talked to Joey, ended up in sixth. And then Steve O'Dwyer. Steve O'Dwyer wins another high roller. Not sure what took him so long. I feel like Steve is going to bust the entire Nosebleed MTT crew. I mean, how many? He's won so many of these.
Right? Like, that's the thing about MTTs is he's not like, as opposed to like cash games where you just get all the money right away. He's just getting like one buy-in at a time from everybody. So it might.
But they're big buy-ins. These aren't.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, and everybody's got everybody's action anyway. So
yeah, and it's just
sort of trickling out. It's just a funnel towards Steve O'Dwyer, just a slow drip.
He did it with in great fashion too, with the ace high call.
He did. He wins. This was the 50K one-day high roller. 58 individual players with a total of 80 entries for a first place prize of a little over $1 million. Connor Drynan was runner-up. Ike, again, finished in fourth and cashed.
Folding into the money.
I heard Mr. Tim Comstey on the Poker News podcast. He told the guys how he decides how much of himself he wants to have in a tournament by basically waking up, figuring out how he's feeling, deciding how much he's going to take of this giant tournament he's playing in, and then sell the rest to Ike. So, which is awesome, because here's Ike. Ike's going to have all the money, right? Like, of all the money that Steve's won, it sounds like Ike has been his backer for a lot of it. I remember when he won the one we were at in Macau.
Right.
He said something along the lines of, "Well, yes, I won this much money, but as people know, I take small pieces of myself and I sell off a lot of my action, etc." Sounded like Ike had a lot of that one as well. So, yeah, and then Ike, of course, also cashed in both of these ones. So,
you think if he cuts off his hair, he loses all his power?
The Ike power? No, I think he's done it both short hair and long hair.
Steve?
Oh, he means, I thought you meant Ike.
No, Steve.
Steve. Ike's had long hair as well. So, and I don't know. I mean, he's just, he's obviously running super hot. He talks a lot about it on the podcast about how he can't lose a flip, and he realizes that the run good is going, which is cool. Like, a lot of people will be like, oh, yeah, I'm the greatest, right? I'm the best player in poker, etc. I've got to be, this good, and it sounds like he's grounded, which was pretty cool.
I think that I'm near full power.
Also,
it's not only that. Sorry to interrupt. It's not only that, that level of humility which you like to see in somebody who's just smashing and collecting and winning all the money. Like, it's not just about, he's a good guy because it's humble. But I honestly think, like, that the more I sort of study this stuff, the more I think that sort of that attitude kind of makes you better at poker, when you just sort of have this realization that, oh God, I'm just running like amazingly, and these guys are really almost, or just as good as me, but I'm just running like God. And it's sort of, I think it does that sort of self-awareness, that self-analysis and metacognitive ability is part of why he's a great player, I think. So, when he makes comments like that, I don't think it's just to show how modest he is. Not that you were implying that, but not just that he is a modest person, but I think that's actually like a really helpful attitude to have.
He did say in an interview after, I heard him saying that, how important momentum and confidence is in these things.
Confidence for sure, and he's got a lot of it, which is good. But yeah, he's also realistic in how good he's running, which is what we meant there. Also at the PCA, our buddy Talent Chick, we forgot to mention, Adrian Rosum took down a side event, the $2,200 pot limit Omaha 8 for $22,000. Congrats to Talent Chick for taking on that title.
She's good at the 4-card thing where you get the big part of the high part and the low card.
You use 2 cards for high and 2 cards for low, and then we see who gets the money.
She does good at those.
Quite good. Which all brings us to the main event of the PCA. This year, 928 players put up $5,300 to play for the title. And to say it was an eventful tournament would be quite the understatement. Let's start off with Pee-Gate, I guess is what we'll call it. Some background here. Antonio Esfandiari is down in the Bahamas, and he ends up making a prop bet with Bill Perkins, in which everywhere Antonio goes, he couldn't walk, wasn't allowed to walk. He had to lunge. So if he's walking in the PCA, to get around the PCA, Antonio's in the Cove. And
the Atlantis is huge.
The Atlantis is huge. It's not
a small city.
Yeah.
It's like a university campus, basically.
And there's some towers, the hotel towers, that are quite close to the poker room. The Coral, I'm thinking of. I can't remember some of the other ones, but
Beach. I think Beach is the closest, right?
Beach, yeah.
Would be the closest to the poker room.
And then Antonio's in the really nice one called the Cove, which is, I want to say, 1.5 kilometers away from the poker.
Yeah, probably. I mean, it's far enough away that there's like golf carts that drive you around to get to the main part of the Atlantis, right? So because most people don't want to walk that far. Like, so if most people don't want to walk that far, then,
imagine how far it is.
I imagine he was allowed to take the golf cart, but it's just like you can't have a golf cart everywhere in the Atlantis, right? So
exactly. So he's got to lunge that far. Now, for anybody who's been to the gym, I'm sure most people have done lunges before. Doing 5, 6, 8 of them, 10 of them, whatever, 12 on, in a workout is one thing. Doing it everywhere you go all day is completely another. And I'm not sure that Antonio understood this. Maybe he did. He made this bet with Bill.
Well, Antonio works out a lot. Like when I lived at Panorama, I'd see him in the gym all the time. Like he trains a lot and he takes care of himself.
He does, yeah.
But yeah, it's something you take for granted when you're just walking. Like walking 500 meters isn't particularly hard. Lunging 500 meters isn't like an order of magnitude harder.
It is. So he had to do this for 48 hours straight. And I'm trying to imagine, T, like you're a super fit guy. I know Antonio is, but I think you probably take it a few notches higher than Antonio as far as the fitness scale goes. So for you, even a guy who's in fantastic shape, can you fathom how hard this is?
Yeah, it's very hard. I mean, there's a strength and conditioning coach for MMA. His name is Joel Jameson, and one of his more grueling things that he puts guys through, and this is on an uphill, is he makes people do like 20 minutes of uphill lunges, right? So this is actually, like, I was just reading about this stuff independent of the Antonio bet, but like you're talking about elite level, like world champions in their sports doing lunges for like 20 minutes, right? Which is, I mean, 20 minutes, I don't know how far you would get. So let's say you're doing like one lunge every 2 seconds. So there's 1,200 seconds, 20 minutes. So you're doing like 600 lunges. Like, how far do you think 600 lunges is? The average lunge is like 3 feet. So like 1,800 feet. It's not that far.
Yeah.
It's like, that's not a huge distance, right? And this is something that's like rough on professional athletes, right? So the question is like, how much is Antonio willing to not go anywhere, right? Because when he was doing the interview, and I'm sure you'll talk about this, when he was doing the interview with Sarah Herring, he was sitting on a couch, right? So he's allowed to not move. It's not like he has to be lunging for 48 hours straight.
No. Yeah.
He's allowed to just not go anywhere.
Right.
So it's just a matter of like, oh, well, you're willing to spend time in your room. But Perkins knows that, of course, Antonio is going to be playing in the poker tournament. He's got to go to the bathroom. He might want a snack. He's probably got people getting him snacks or whatever. But, life requires you in general to move, especially when you're at a place like the Atlantis. So, yeah, I don't know if I would take the bet. I feel like I could do it. But, I mean, yeah, I don't know.
I would do it. I just wouldn't move for 2 days. Like, it would be $50,000 to sit there and do nothing. But I mean, that's not a challenge. So Bill would have, I'm sure, said, "Look, you got to play in this tournament. The main event is coming up. You're in the tournament. You can't just sit in your room for 2 days straight, right?" So
right, and then you've got to, like, even if you're in your room, you got to like brush your teeth, right? You got to go do that. I mean, that won't be hard, but you've got to live life, to some extent, right? So. Yeah,
for sure.
I mean, I don't know.
It's tough, and obviously it pays to be friends with Bill Perkins because you just gotta
he'll pay you to do
hang around. I mean, which is exactly what I would be doing if I was worth $500 million. I'd be laughing at my buddies for doing stupid shit, probably. Not that it would, if it was life-changing money for my buddy. I mean, but if it was just we were screwing around, obviously.
I was going to say that makes me glad I'm friends with you in case you ever become worth $500,000.
Big $500,000. Yeah,
I'm hard pressed to figure out exactly how you personally would end up being $500,000, seeing as like you don't even play like poker tournaments, or you don't buy lottery tickets. I don't even know what parlay you would have to hit to hit 500 million, basically because you don't want to hit 500 million.
Not in a hurry to win. I did buy. Well, I didn't buy a Powerball. I had one Powerball ticket my mom bought for me. She went down across the border, got one for her, myself, and my brother. So we each had one out in the Powerball. But yeah, no, it's going to be hard for me to get to 500 million. But the point is, it's pretty amusing that Bill would do stuff like this. The bet's timeline, as I mentioned, overlapped Antonio playing in the PCA main event. Antonio's at his table. He's got a healthy stack over about 100,000, apparently 110,000. He'd been lunging everywhere and was exhausted. He's sitting in his chair, and his legs are just jello, he was saying. He couldn't move. His dad was following him behind him in an office, like a rolling office chair. So he'd go like 2 lunges and his legs would give out and he'd have to sit down for some period of time and then lunge again. So it took him, a long time to get anywhere.
So his dad is like wheelchairing him around?
No. He's sitting in the chair and then resting and then lunging some more. He's not allowed to be moved in the chair, it seemed.
So okay. Well, you just sit on the floor, I guess. But yeah, I see.
But he's got to stand up when your legs are jello.
Okay. So it's basically, so he's not allowed to be moved anywhere by the wheels, but
exactly.
He's just using the chair as a rest. Okay.
Yeah, and he doesn't want his dad to have to pick the chair up because he's an old guy, so he's probably rolling it around.
Yep. Okay, I'm understanding this now.
Yeah. We're up to date. So he is, his legs apparently were just toast, and he's playing in the poker tournament, and a break comes along in the tournament, and everybody leaves. Antonio has to go to the bathroom. I guess he's not very close to the toilet. He's got to take a piss. And
no, it's a minimum. I'm trying to think, like, even if he had like a table that's the closest to the nearest bathroom, it's still 60 yards or so, I think, to the bathroom.
Which is going to take him a while, right? I mean, when you think about how his legs are toast, they're giving away on him when he does any of them, and he's got to go. Let's say it's 40 yards. You know what I mean? Like it's 40 lunges one way, 40 back. It might take him half an hour to do it, or 45 minutes.
And he's not fresh. Like if it was the first set, it would be fine. But
yeah, it's pain and serious pain for him to do this. So he decides that instead of going all that way to take a piss, he is going to grab a bottle, and while nobody's around because everybody's gone on break, I guess, he's going to put the bottle under the table. He's going to piss in the bottle and have somebody else take it to the bathroom to be poured out. His dad grabs a towel, shields him, and somebody else I think stands on the other side so nobody can see him doing it. Somehow or another they caught him, and he gets DQ'd from the tournament, which, some people said was too harsh. Some people said wasn't harsh enough. You'll remember we told the story at the PCA of the rumor that Victor Blom had taken a dump on somebody's room service carts sitting outside.
Yeah, that's a little different.
Well, and he got banned for life.
Right.
So different, as you said.
There was. I mean, it was really surprising to me, and I think this is just like people who don't like Antonio. People were going like, "Oh, he should be escorted out by security, and charges should be filed against him for indecent exposure." I'm like, what planet are you on? Like, there was nobody around him, and he discreetly pulled his penis out of his jeans and peed into the bottle. Like, this didn't harm anybody. He's not like. Indecent exposure makes it sound like he's some like pervert going to a playground in a trench coat. Like it must just be people who don't like Antonio, right? Like I think the disqualification was way harsh. Like I don't see somebody just being disqualified from a tournament for doing this. You severely reprimanded, absolutely. Even given a few orbits penalty, fine. But what is this puritanical bullshit? Like, whatever. It's bad etiquette. It's certainly like, I wouldn't be happy if somebody did it at the table when I was there. But like, why is this like? It seems excessive to me. I don't know how you feel about it. I don't know how like the general public. I didn't see like a Twitter poll from Kev Math going like, "Was this an appropriate punishment?"
I feel like it was appropriate.
Way out of line to me.
I think it was harsh, but I think it was appropriate. I think that you can't do that. It's just not something you can do. I've just seen
so much worse behavior at the table. Right? I've seen people clipping their fingernails and nobody says shit.
But that's not worse.
And I feel like that's Yes, it is. Fingernails shit gets everywhere. Like, you can't clip fingernails without like them like hitting people and stuff. Like, it just. I think it's worse. Like, if you pee in a bottle and you don't miss, like if you don't drip.
How do you know? How do you know he didn't miss? I mean, I don't know. I think it's worse.
It's hard to miss, right? Because I mean, if you're doing it properly, you know, I guess it depends whether it's like a water bottle or like a, one of those Gatorade bottles with like a big fat.
Like
mouth.
If your dick fits in it, is what you're saying.
That is basically what I'm going for. Yes, if your penis actually fits in the hole, it's going to be pretty hard to miss. I guess the problem is like if you have to go more than the contents of the bottle too. Like if you grabbed too small of a bottle, but I mean.
So you're going to base the disqualification on how wide the bottle hole is.
Bottle choice is very important. I don't know if.
Oh, that is a secondary. I mean, I'm basing it based on how much of a mess he made or didn't make. I'm not basing it based on. I don't care about the size of either his penis or the bottle. Like, that's not a factor to me. It's the you penalize the effect, not the intent.
All right. So we disagree on that. He ends up getting disqualified and took it pretty well.
Ross, break the tie. Ross, break the tie. DQ or no DQ?
It's really tough. I don't know. People were already so harsh. I don't know if you guys saw who started the trending NVG thread.
You did. That was you. Yeah, it was your first. Is that your first NVG thread?
My first trending NVG thread. I might have started another one. So I'm pretty proud of that. You know.
All right. So break the tie. DQ or not DQ?
I think it is a DQ.
All right. DQ it is. You're a man of principle, Terrence.
I am a man of principle. I don't think peeing is like that bad. I'm just not that like.
What about playing pocket pool with yourself? Is that worse?
That's different. That is very different. That is a function that like no. I mean, peeing is like it's a normal.
So if you saw a guy, it's a good point. If you saw a guy constantly grabbing his dick under the. Like he's sitting beside you and he's just constantly just scratching himself.
I think you should bring it to somebody's attention, and that person should say, "You need to fucking cut that out like right now, or I'm DQing you." Like I still feel like that's worth a warning.
Wow, I'm getting that guy banned if he's playing with himself.
Okay, let's say he's doing it like let's say somebody. Let's say you're on an airplane and somebody pees into a bottle. Would you do you think it's appropriate for like the pilot to like land the plane and for them to like throw him off the plane? Because that's basically like the analog that we're talking about here, right?
I don't know. I feel like that's
flight from New York to London. Like
you're landing in the Canary Islands now because
yeah, exactly.
No, I can't. I don't think that's the same thing, but. We can disagree. That's okay. But he took it well, which I was impressed with. Like he didn't throw a fit.
He really did. Like I would have, obviously raised hell. I mean, I think a lot of people would have raised hell for being DQ'd with a 3x starting stack in a $5,000 buy-in tournament. That's a big deal.
Yeah, it is. All right, so let's head on to more coverage about the main event. The PCA is this great thing, T, and you've been there so many times, and similar to the main event, where you have, and especially because you have the tournament inside the Atlantis, which is a pretty expensive resort to go to. It's not like, you can go there if you're not pretty well off. So there's a tournament going on, and everybody loves poker, and all of a sudden you walk by the tournament, and it's a $5,000 tournament going on? Yeah, I'll jump in that. I mean, what's that, 4 nights hotel or whatever? So,
right.
They jump, and you get people jumping in who would never in a million years put up $5K to play in a tournament, which is really cool. And you think back to PokerStars sponsored a lot of, you think Sergio Garcia, Jason Alexander, and all kinds of other people who have gone in. But you also see sports stars who are there jumping in. Richard Seymour, ex of the New England Patriots, was in the tournament.
Did Ronaldo play this year?
I don't know if I think they're in mid-season, right? So
no, he was there. He was playing the celebrity game. I was watching the Twitch stream.
Oh, there you go. So old Ronaldo, you mean?
Oh yeah, old Ronaldo.
That all leads us to a couple of guys who ended up playing in the main event and went deep. And one of them was a guy named Martin McCormack from Scotland, and he had everybody, including Stapes, on complete tilt. If you go watch the archived PCA main event, I think it's day 4, near the end of day 4, second half of that one. He is so mad at this guy. He's got Stapes furious. And it's funny because the guy, he is pretty irritating. He's drunk. He's Scottish. He's got zero career cash in his life. It's clear that he's just kind of having fun or whatever. He's telling people what he has.
Why is Stapes mad at this? This is
I know.
Exactly what we need in poker.
I know, and not just Stapes. Like the people, like Federholz is there.
Oh, yeah.
And they're upset at this guy. And I'm thinking, what are you guys doing? Why are you making? And they're making fun of him. And I'm like, no. I'm cringing so hard. I'm like, encourage this guy. Like he's telling you what he has in hands, and so he plays this one hand with I can't remember who it was, Fabian Quast maybe, and he raises in late position. Fabian calls, and he goes. Before the flop comes out, he goes, okay, Fabian, I'm just going to check it. He's in position. I'm just going to check it down. I don't care. I'm not going to try and win anything from you. I'm just going to check it all the way. Check. And somebody says, it might have been Federer, I can't remember, says, yeah, why would you want to play a hand in position? And I'm like, oh, my God, stop that. Just stop that.
That is the wrong answer.
Yes, don't laugh at him, please. Encourage
if you were
this.
To say something like, oh, that's unethical because you can't make an agreement to soft play people, like I would be, like much more tolerant of a statement like that because he isn't allowed to say, like, I don't want to win your money or something. Like, you're in a poker tournament, you're supposed to win people's money. Like, that's the rules of the game. Like, if he just said that, I would have been okay with it.
Yeah.
But yeah. Oh, let's play position. You're deep stacked with X big blinds. Shut up.
Yeah, it was tilting me for sure. He got it, like, he went in all in blind a bunch of times. I guess he got it in blind with 10-3 off against Ace, King, and Queens. And got it all in pre-blind, didn't look, turned his hand over. He had 10-3 against these three big hands and ended up quadrupling up with the 10-3. He's trying to go home. Like, he's literally trying to go to the bar.
This is some like 1-2 Saturday night action.
He's just having a great time, and he's hammered, and he's pissing people off, whatever, I get it. But he's, in his own mind, is having a lot of fun. One time, he tried to, he went all in, and walked away from the table and just left. And he ends up winning the hand, and the production crew goes after him.
The Kevin McBride.
He does the Kevin McBride, but this guy just doesn't care. Like, he just walked away. And so the production crew goes after him, and I'm thinking, why is the production crew, why are they going after him? Like, if a guy wants to leave the tournament, let him leave the tournament. Like, it's kind of out of place. You know what I mean?
He was going after him because he's the only human being with personality at the table.
I suppose, and they don't understand. But I'm thinking it's altering the course of the tournament. The production crew's altering the course of the tournament in that spot. He'll come back eventually. Like, he'll go away and come back and check or something. But yeah, no, it was pretty funny to watch. If you don't watch much of poker on television and you want to see something amusing, go to the PokerStars.tv. PCA 2016. Watch from day 4 on.
Was it last year that the guy was like super drunk again? And I believe that was also at PCA.
Was it? I don't remember.
He was sitting with Timex a bunch of it.
Oh, okay.
Anyways.
So it's a ton of fun. There's another guy, and his name is Leonardo Pires. He's a Brazilian guy. I think he has maybe 3 cashes in his life. He is the massive chip leader with 2 tables left. I think he's got like 4.5 million. The next person has 2 million. And he is not a good poker player. Like, he's just not. He's getting his money in bad spots. Fine. This is what we want. We want to see this guy on television. We want to, hopefully he makes the final table and, goes on a deep run because, we want to encourage, new players, whatever, people not to be intimidated, etc. And he plays this one hand, and I want to ask you about this hand. And he's playing against Mike Watson, who Sir Watts, good Canadian kid, ends up taking the tournament down. But this hand is pretty amazing. It's in the notes, Terrence, but I'll read it off for the listeners. It's level 24. The blinds are 12,000, 24,000, and I think Pires definitely has Watson covered. And but they're over. I think they have 100 big blinds. Like, it's pretty deep. And there's a raise and a call pre. Pires raises, and Sir Watts calls. The flop is deuce 4-6, and Pires leads out 214,000 into full pot bet. He bets out on the flop. The turn is a 3, so now it's 2, 4, 6, 3 on the turn. Brings a diamond draw, a backdoor diamond draw. So 1 card straight, a 5 is a straight. That's 1 card straight. Yeah, is a 5. And Pires bets 500,000 on the turn, full pot again, or close to full pot. Watson
2/3 of the pot. There's 750,000.
Okay, it's a big bet. He bets 500,000 on the 2, 4, 6, 3 board. Watson calls. The river's the jack of diamonds, so backdoor flush gets there, and Perez moves all in. And Watson goes into the tank for a long time, calls off another million, and calls for his life. Calls all in with pocket sevens on the 2-4-6-3 jack board, which is a fantastic call. Perez has king six, so he has one pair of sixes. Watson has sevens, ends up taking the giant pot, takes these chips and goes on to victory. But amazing call.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know what to say. Like, this is the kind of thing where, like you'd have to ask Mike Watson about it, because, I don't know if it's something in the bet sizing. The bet sizing actually, like you said, it's actually very consistent for every street. So he pots the flop. That's 2/3 pot on the turn, and I think it's another 2/3 pot. Another 2/3 pot bet all in on the river. So, that's obviously massive call. It's hard to say. Maybe just read in the moment. Watson the zone, I guess.
Yeah, sick call. There's another incident at the PCA that I want to talk about quickly. A player named Chris Underwood told a story on 2+2 about what happened to him in the $300 turbo that was at the start of the PCA series. Self-described rec player, looks forward to going to the PCA every year. This year, no different. Gets to Atlantis, drops his bag in his room, jumps down into the poker room, hops in a $300 turbo. All's going well. They're down to 18 players. The event was paying 17, and they went hand for hand. The tournament director that was on hand for this tournament says, "Congratulations, everybody. You've made the money. The dealers continue dealing. No more hand for hand." After a few hands of play, this is what him talking, I found myself in a standard spot since we were all now getting paid to push ace-jack from the button, get called and lose. Goes to the payout table, collects his payout ticket for 17th, min-cashing, puts it in his pocket, and goes off to play another event that's just starting up. He doesn't want any downtime, this guy. He wants to continue playing tournaments. And about 30 minutes later, a floor person finds him and asks if he's collected his winnings. She takes him over to the cage. He deposits the $500 that he's won in this tournament into his PS Live account. When you go down to a PokerStars tournament, instead of carrying tons of cash around, you can have a PS Live account. He deposits the min cash in there. The floor person comes over a little while later when he's in the other tournament and asks him to come over and speak to one of the assistant tournament directors, who tells him they made a mistake and that he was the bubble, the 18th place finisher, not the 17th that he was paid for. The tourney director then says he should give the money back. He declines, and the TD kind of gives him some attitude and berates him for a little while. Next day he shows up to play more events, is asked to talk to the tournament director, Mike Ward, who's been there since 2004, I want to say. He's been there for a long time, the tournament director of the PCA.
Yep. Since the very first one was 2004, yeah, you're right.
He tells this player that his account is suspended, and if he doesn't give the money back, he won't be playing any more events. And he reports that Mike was not very nice about it at all. There's two sides to every story, so this is his sort of version of it. We don't have the other side. But if it's true, a terrible way to handle this situation by Mike Ward, who's, as you said, been there right since the very beginning. They made a mistake, clearly, by saying, the bubble has busted. We are now in the money, and he's going to play his hand differently in that scenario than if it was still on the bubble. I mean, you've materially affected the tournament, and it's your fault. And it's $500. It's not that the amount of money matters, but it's the point. It's that this tournament was affected by the person, and it wasn't Mike Ward. He's the main tournament director that did it. It wasn't Mike that did it. It was one of the other people handling the tournament. But it doesn't matter. They made the mistake. They need to.
Yeah, he's responsible. Well, he's responsible for anybody who works under him.
Yeah, exactly.
It's him in charge, or whoever. Basically, whoever. I don't know that's the organizational structure. I don't really know who's in charge, but yeah, it's somebody that works there. Whoever made the mistake works for somebody, basically.
He does, and I was just like shaking my head trying to figure out why. It almost doesn't make sense, because it's such a cut and dried situation of you screwed up. The people running this tournament at the PCA the PS Live crew, like, why would they go about and handle it in this fashion? I didn't understand it. Nobody did. Neil J., who is the handler of live events, came on and said they did make it up to the player and paid him the $500. Daniel Negreanu actually also said, I'm going to pay him myself, and then I'll work it out with Stars later. But Neil J. Came in and said, we've talked about it. We're paying him the $500. We're apologizing, and we're moving on. But it's just a situation where I don't even understand how it got to that point.
Yeah, so a couple of thoughts on this. You mentioned before, it's only $500, not that the money matters. I think money does matter. What if they made this mistake? It's much less likely to happen, but what if they made this mistake in the $100K buy-in, right? And now you're dealing with a min cash of, whatever, say, somewhere in the six figures, right? Now you've got a real situation on your hand. It's far less likely to happen because it's a small field, players would have caught it, blah, blah, blah. But let's just say hypothetically they somehow managed to get to this point in like a $100K buy-in tournament or $25K buy-in tournament, right? What are they going to do in this spot? I have absolutely no idea. And you bring up, so the second thing is you bring up the good point, of course, that it's the tournament director's fault or it's the staff's fault, and you're absolutely right. I would be interested to see what was sort of on the board, what announcements were made at what point, because the sort of devil's advocate, and don't actually take this as my opinion, but if I'm going to make a devil's advocate argument, there's a TDA rule that says, okay, like let's say, Adam, you're in a hand against me, I've just moved all in, and you ask the dealer for a count, and then the dealer counts down my stack and says, he's got 500,000 or something, right? You make the call, I have the nuts, and let's say you have me covered by a lot, dealer recounts the stack and go, oops, actually it was 1.5 million, right? There's some absurd amount. You're actually going to pay me my stack, my real stack, right? So even if the dealer said I had 500,000, turns out I had $1 million, you still have to pay me $1 million. So that's sort of the only sort of analog that I can think of. That being said, it's obviously like a fairly bad PR disaster. It shows like a lack of accountability when they don't figure this stuff out. But yeah, I mean, it's I like Mike Ward. He's a friendly guy. I've always thought that he's professional. He does I've seen him have a temper before, so I mean, I would definitely like to get his side of the story, or Stars, or the PokerStars live cruise side of the story. But yeah, a poor look for sure, and a really bad mistake by whoever was running the thing.
In case you missed it, Oscar-winning writer Aaron Sorkin was brought in to direct the film adaptation of the book Molly's Game. You'll remember last year Molly's Game was brought out, the book about the high-stakes Hollywood movie star game that was full of all kinds of interesting tidbits and different things about Tobey Maguire and Leonardo DiCaprio and lots of other big-name stars who ended up playing in it. She wrote a tell-all book, and they're now going to make it into a movie. And Aaron Sorkin, who's the writer for A Few Good Men, Moneyball, Social Network, television series The West Wing, he's going to come in and it's his directorial debut. So, I mean, I haven't read it yet. I actually have the book, haven't had a chance to read it. But I would imagine that the book, you say you can't make this stuff up, and I can imagine that there was a lot of stuff in there, T, that they probably... the truth is probably more interesting than what was actually told. I'll bet you there's some stuff left out.
Of course. I mean, when have you ever watched a Hollywood movie and then the people that were close to it will be like, yeah, that was totally accurate? I mean, I don't know that that's ever happened in the history of filmmaking, right? I mean, even books, so, you've got like The Truth, and then you've got books which are, some gradient of something close to that, and then movies are usually like a step farther back. But even books tend to take dramatic license because publishers get involved, and publishers want to sell books, and authors want to tell good stories. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't expect the movie to actually be anything like what happened. I mean, other than the most vague way, but might still be entertaining. And if it's entertaining, maybe I'll watch it.
I wonder if Tobey Maguire and Leo will play themselves. That'd be pretty funny.
Yeah.
In case you missed it, the Global Poker League has announced the full roster of cities and managers for its inaugural season. We talked last week to Mr. Chris Moneymaker about his team, the Las Vegas Moneymakers. The rest of the 12 teams were announced this week. Here we go. The Berlin Bears. I like that name, Berlin Bears. That's a good one. Philip Grusom is going to be the manager of that team. The Hong Kong Dragons. Like it. Selena Lind. T, I like the Dragons. You like that name?
China.
Sure. It's about as Hong Kong as you get.
It's dragony.
To the point of cliche, maybe, but, I mean, it's understandable. Hong Kong doesn't really have a professional sports team, so, I mean, if it did, it probably would have taken that one, so it's good.
You're good with that. The Los Angeles Sunset, Maria Ho, captain. I don't like that. I think that's my
Thumbs
least
down.
favorite. Yeah,
It sounds like a WNBA team or something.
it's not good. The Los Angeles Sunset. London Royals, Liv Brie. I like the Royals. I like the play there. That's okay.
Sure.
Montreal Nationals. Marc-Andre Ladouceur is going to be the team leader there. The Nationals, of course, are now the baseball Montreal Expos moved to Washington and became the Nationals.
Right.
So
sort of a reverse thing going on.
Yeah, something happened there.
Clever.
He's Canadian.
Moscow Wolverines. Anatoly Filatov is the leader of that one.
Do you think Wolverines when you think of the city of Moscow?
You know what I think of when I think of Wolverines is that movie, Dawn, something Dawn with Patrick Swayze. Remember Wolverine? Remember that one where Russia?
I don't know that I associate Wolverines with Moscow.
Red Dawn was the name of it.
It warmed my feelings at night.
That's the movie I think. I love that movie, by the way. Red Dawn's awesome. New York Rounders, Bryn Kenny, young MJ. The New York Rounders is you talk about cliche. That's super cliche, but I mean
it is. But Rounders was set in New York. I kind of get it. I'll give him like a B minus C plus on that one.
Okay,
that's correct.
Let's grade the rest of these. All right, Paris Aviators for Fabrice Soulier. I'm going to give that a. I like that. The Aviation Club. I see the play there. I like that one.
That's what they're going for. I'll go B plus.
Yeah, B plus.
It's okay.
Legit.
Rome Emperors. Max Pescatori. I do like that one. Emperors is good.
I like that.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's an A for me. Yeah.
San Francisco Rush. Verjaka is going to be the leader there. I like that's a good name for the.
It's not bad because it's poker related, but it's not lame or whatever. How do you feel in general about sports teams that aren't plurals? So we've got the Los Angeles Sunset, which we said we hated, and the San Francisco Rush, which I think we're good. B- B+ level. Like what do you in general, like the Minnesota Wild, all of these, the Miami Heat.
They're singular.
What are your feelings about non-plural sports team names?
I'm good with it. The Wild is an awesome name. I don't mind that at all. The Heat is good. I'm fine with that.
Colorado Avalanche.
The Avalanches. Yeah, no, they're good. So it's interesting, right? The draft is next month. Again, we've talked about it. If you're in the top 1,000 of the GPR rankings, you have to opt in, but you can be selected in the draft. Each team is going to take 3 players from the top 1,000 and 2 wildcard picks. But T, you're the manager of the Vancouver Lumberjacks. What are you going to look for? Lumberjacks is good, right?
Yeah, of course.
What are you going to look for when you draft a player? Now, you have to keep in mind what the goal of this whole league is, and you're going to want to sell this to the people in your country, in your city. You want to make it a spectacle. You're not going to take a guy who's super quiet and he might be a great player, but that's really not going to drive interest in your team, right? So I think the guys, to me, that I'm going to go after are people who are fun to watch. But you've also got to balance that with that being a good player.
Yeah, I mean, I suspect, we don't know the structure of any of these tournaments or what they'll look like, but I'll suspect that skill is not as important as it might be in like your average big buy-in poker tournament. So I think you definitely want to sacrifice a little skill if you can get a little marketability. If I'm building a Vancouver team, well, let's see. I guess I need a pothead. I need a mom in yoga pants.
Nice.
Let's see. What else is Vancouver like a fancy
China.
A salmon sushi chef maybe. That's somebody who complains a lot about the weather. That should solidly round up my
hipster.
team.
You need a hipster.
Yeah, definitely a hipster.
A barista.
Yeah. Barista would be good. See, we got this. You guys are both hired as assistant managers.
Yeah, she's looking forward to that then, to the draft next month. We might head down to that American Poker Awards at the end of February.
I'd like that.
That'd be fun for a little trip, right?
I'm attending on Facebook. I mean, they're expecting me.
Well, then you got to show up somehow. In case you missed it, Vanessa Selps lays 200-1 on 10,000, so her $2 million to Dmitry Urbanovich's 10,000, that he won't win 3 bracelets at the World Series of Poker this summer in Vegas. It's his first World Series. The guy has won, I think, $4 million before he's 21 in live events. He's crushed for a little while. And I guess they were drinking one night or something, and they came up with a prop bet where she only had to lay 200-1 that he was going to win 3 bracelets. So she, when asked about it, said, "Well, hang on a second. You could lose $2 million if he does this. First of all, it's way worse than 200-1 that he's going to do it. So she's obviously got her money. It in good. She's got it in good. Let's put it that way. And then she said she feels like she's laying 7-1 that he won't win 2, because if he does, she can sell off a ton of action that he won't win another one." Given how, depending on how many tournaments are left at like 30-1, her exposure is going to be sort of $60,000 to $70,000. She worked out that but of course the problem is if he wins 2 really quickly, you're not going to get 30-1. It's going to be somewhat less than that. So, but I thought that was interesting prop bet that this guy feels like it's only 200-1 that he's going to win these bracelets.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if he really feels that way. I mean,
maybe 10K.
Maybe he does. Yeah, right. I guess he thinks he's getting it in good, or maybe he just wants the lotto ticket or whatever.
If he runs like Malta.
What's that? Yeah, well, I mean, these things don't happen terribly often. And I guess Dimitri's thinking, well, there's a lot of small fields events. There's the no limit deuce, and then there's the heads up tournament. And there's all these kind of stuff going on. And actually, we don't even know the full schedule.
That's the other thing.
Yeah, so maybe they've got some even more small field big buy-in tournaments than they've historically had in the past, which would be really bad for Vanessa. But like you said, she's still getting it in good here. But even getting it in good, kind of a cliff jumper. This one, as they say in the sports betting industry. It
is a cliff jumper. In case you missed it, Season 2 of the Super High Roller Fantastic Bowl was announced for this summer at the Aria. Last year, you'll remember the first year they held it, $500,000 entry. This year, it's a $300,000 buy-in. 7-handed tables with a 49-seat cap. They're reserving at the Aria 14 seats for their super high-rolling gambler-type guys who have apparently said that they want to jump into the seats. So with 14 of the 49 seats sort of guaranteed to be whales, so to speak, that's going to drive a lot of pros to sign up. There's only, 35 seats remaining for Poker Pros. Sponsors are also adding $300,000 to the prize pool, and the tournament charges 0 rake to begin with. And this is awesome. This kind of tournament is exactly what we need. $5 million predicted.
Who are these sponsors? Do we have any idea?
I don't think we know yet. It didn't name them, but still fantastic that the area is going out of their way to
There's going to be a battle for those 35 seats then. I mean, I think you could even see like some bidding for that. I mean, I guess people probably want to reserve their spots now. I mean, you're certainly like anybody who has the 300K is just going to like lock up their seat immediately, because there's there's the 300K overlay, which is small. That's only like one buy-in, right? But the fact that there's 14 players who aren't going to be pro poker players is like a huge deal.
Although last year the businessmen didn't show.
Yeah, well, they didn't come yet. That was at the one drop, right?
No, that was at the 500K.
Oh, the 500K. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah,
it was. Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't. But this year, I guess they're reserving 14 seats. I don't know if that means.
Yeah, I guess that doesn't necessarily mean there will be 14 players. There could be 2. Yeah,
exactly.
No, that's a good point. Fair point.
I think you can buy your seat next week, so it'll be interesting to see how many people plop down. I remember them last year announcing people as they were signing up. So who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's the carrot to get people to sign up early, right? So it's actually a very clever move by the Aria. Now that you give it a little bit of thought, you're saying like, oh, well, if we cap the pros at 35 entries, we'll get a whole bunch of them right away. If we say that we're going to keep 14 spots open for random whales. Even if you don't end up getting those random whales, you've already got the money from the pros. So, haha.
Yeah. All right, moving on. In case you missed it, another RIP this week. Renee Angelil passed away. Celine Dion's husband. who was also a poker player and was friends with a lot of people at the Bellagio. He played a lot of poker there. Passes away after a long battle with cancer. I think he was 73. But goes without saying that fuck cancer. But I think Bear Greenstein said he was the nicest man that he's ever met, and rest in peace.
I think I remember him from some main event coverage.
Yeah, he played. I think he might have won a tournament too, or went super deep in a tournament one time. Yeah, he's got a fair amount of. He loved poker, just loved to play, and obviously he are super rich, or was super rich, so it wasn't like he was playing for the money. He was playing to have fun. So.
No, I played with him in the main event 1 year. I don't remember, and I didn't even realize who he was until probably hour 4, which is kind of I think how he likes it. He wasn't you play with so many celebrities at the poker table who are just like they can't wait to tell you how important they are,
right?
And have everybody love them and just kind of hold court. And he was not that
I'm near
guy.
full power.
Yeah, I mean, even beyond poker celebrities, but sort of the mainstream celebrities, they're just really enjoy telling you how great they are. But Renee, very unassuming, just friendly to everybody at the table, and then somewhere like hour 4, hour 5, I sort of realized, hey, who's that guy? And then I figured out it was him, and I was like, oh, he made no big deal about the fact that he was a big deal, and that's always that's kind of person I'm down with.
Yeah, exactly. You like that. All right, coming up after the break, we're going to have Leo Wolpert on the show. We're going to have a little fun with him with some Jeopardy questions. We haven't heard from the Maple Ridge Fire Department yet.
No, we haven't.
It's been like an hour.
All right.
What was that just sort of drove by? I was confused. I thought that was one of you guys making noise, but it was just some loud sports car.
It was. Guy with a sawed-off tailpipe.
If I seem a little squirrely today, it's because I didn't sleep last night.
Are you downing a 5-hour energy drink right now?
I'm going to down it, yeah.
Oh, my God.
5-hour energy.
11 p.m. there over there, and you're hitting the energy.
I'm going to put it on the Snapchat. For the show.
Here goes the energy drink. Ross didn't sleep last night, so he's faded quickly here.
All right.
After the break, we're going to have Leo Wolpert, and then we've got a ton of mail. Thanks everybody who sent in all the mail. We've also got a bunch of stuff from the forums that people wrote in and wanted us to get to. So we're going to get to a bunch of that in the third segment. But coming up after the break, Leo Wolpert. You're listening to the 2+2 Pokercast, presented by the PokerStars VIP Club. More right after this.
Playing 50 big blinds deep with antes, the villain in the hand opens to 2.2x from the cutoff, and I defend my big blind with ace-free offsuit. The flop comes ace-6-9 with 2 clubs, and I check call a free big blind c-bet. The turn is a free, bringing a second flush draw and giving me 2 pairs. And once again I check call, this time for 5 big blinds. The river is a 6 of clubs, completing the flush and counterfeiting me as well. I check and he bets 11 big blinds. As it's close to the worst possible hand I can have at this point, and I have full house blockers, I turned it into a bluff and check raise all in.
Team Pro Online's Mickey Moment Mori Peterson is a supernova VIP. This is the 2+2 Pokercast, presented by the PokerStars VIP Club.
Okay, people, most of the kittens have perished. There are a few left you can save, though, and here's how to do it. Get involved with the Pokercast by emailing your questions, suggestions for the show, or even record a sound clip. Adam will be using the best ones on the air. Well, let's face it, probably the worst ones as well. I can see you there at your computer. Send an email right now. Totally disagree with one of Adam's takes last week? Send an email. Love last week's interview? Email. Want to know how much cash Adam has on him right now? Email. Pokercast at 2plus2.com is the address. Ship the funny to Adam today. Hey, folks, don't forget to follow the PokerCast crew on Twitter. Adam is at PokerCastAdam, and he'll keep you up to date on things like upcoming guests, listener contests, and all the latest bacon-related food innovations. Follow Ross at PokerCastRoss, and you'll discover new hip-hop bands and learn how to not play Microstakes No Limit. Also, give us a like on Facebook, where we post lots of photos and other nonsense.
Hi guys, it's Mike from ProfessionalPoker.com and the 2+2 store with some great news for our PokerStars players. You can now use your frequent player points to purchase gift cards available from ProfessionalPoker.com. These same cards will also work at the 2+2 store. The gift cards come in increments of $25 and $50, and you can apply multiple gift cards per order. Now you could get the books, videos, and ebooks from all the major publishers using just your FPPs. So check out the gift card section of the PokerStars FPP store and pick up the poker training material you've had your eye on for a while at the 2+2 store and ProfessionalPoker.com.
Welcome back to the 2+2 Pokercast, presented by the PokerStars VIP Club. Terrence, our guest this week, is a lawyer as well as a professional poker player. He is the 2009 10K.
So he can lie to you in multiple different ways.
He won the 10K WSOP Head-Up No Limit Hold'em in 2009. He's appeared on Jeopardy, as well as many appearances on the excellent Thinking Poker podcast with Andrew Brokaus and Nate Mavitz. He is Leo Wolpert. And Leo, welcome to the PokerCast.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me on. And Terrence, it's not lying. It's just called real-life bluffing.
Bluffing IRL.
Yeah, exactly. Is there a game theoretical approach to bluffing IRL?
Oh, absolutely. You definitely have to balance that out. You got to be telling the truth some of the time.
Otherwise, I'll call you on it. PokerCast Karma, by the way, we were lining up this interview with Leo, and he said, "Look, I'm playing in a turbo tomorrow. I might be able to make it, I might not." You ended up shipping it.
Well, I didn't chip at all. I chopped it heads up. I had about 49% of the chips in play, so my opponent, Jack Duong, was a very good pro. He had 51%, so he gets the trophy. He gets the novelty oversized red guitar pick, and I will have a lighter checked bag, I guess. But hey, I'll take the money. That's no complaints about that.
The Bahamas airport is going to break the thing anyway.
I don't think he's in the Bahamas. Where were you?
No, I'm not at the Bahamas.
You're not. Sorry.
I used to go to the PCA quite a bit because when I could play on PokerStars, I would occasionally win satellites, and every year it would just be the worst. I would never cash anything. I would lose at cash games. I would lose in private games. I'd lose at CCR. I mean, just everything that could go wrong in the Bahamas just always went wrong for me. So
it's a bad place.
It's a blessing in disguise to not even have the opportunity to play satellites into that thing.
It's a bad place to go bad, right? Because it's so expensive, and the dinners. If you go to Nobu and you lose a credit card roulette, you're out a dime.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened to me, and it was at a time when my bankroll wasn't so big, so it was like actually I could really feel the sting.
Yeah, no question. So the tournament today was where?
It was at the Seminole Hard Rock in Florida, one of the very few places I actually enjoy traveling from Vegas to play tournaments at.
Give us an idea, Leo, what it's like in Florida. We've talked a lot about the Seminole Hard Rock, poker opening up in Florida. There used to be, I believe it was a $100 cap for years and years and years. Opened up. Poker boomed in Florida. People, I remember pros were rushing there to go play in the cash games and experience that sort of live mini boom that was going on there. Do we still have that down there? And it is as good as everybody kind of says it was, these cash games down there?
Well, I haven't played all that many hours of cash down here, maybe like 10 hours of cash total, and like 4 of those are on this trip. So I can't really compare it that much with, say, the Bellagio cash games, but the tournament action here is fantastic. I see some of the biggest mistakes people can possibly make in tournaments being made in these things. So it's a great venue for tournaments, especially.
Yeah, no, it seems like Florida is this interesting place because, like you said, not only has it only recently opened up, what we would consider like real live poker, but it's done so in sort of the post UIGA, post internet era. So in some sense, like a lot of Floridian poker players haven't had the ability to hone their skills unless they're really, really old school, and so you just have this part of the United States where the games feel like they're artificially softer than somewhere else. Do you think that's a factor?
Definitely. I think a lot of people who play these Florida games don't have a solid online background. They haven't put in hundreds of thousands or millions of hands like many of the online players who you'll regularly see, or I guess former or current online players if they're traveling, you'll see in the higher stakes cash games down here. I like to call them the young Florida go-hards because especially in tournaments, some of these younger Florida guys definitely know how to turn up the heat and get good results. Yep.
So the Hard Rock is the place to play. Is it spread all around Florida? Is it in each big city, or is it sort of centered at the Hard Rock?
I couldn't really speak to the rest of Florida because I've only played in South Florida. But I think that the two biggest places down here are Seminole Hard Rock and the Isle for cash games. And yeah, those two places have good action, at least to me, every time I've been in there.
Pretty good. I mentioned you're a lawyer in the introduction. Can talk us about being a lawyer, being a poker player, how much time you devote to one, the other, what type of law do you practice, and how do you decide sort of where to spend most of your time?
Well, to answer the last question first, I decided to spend most of my time by keeping meticulous results and calculating my hourly rate. And so I've found that my hourly rate at live poker is quite a bit better than my hourly rate at lawyering. So I devote way more of my time to that than to practicing law. Now, fortunately, my girlfriend, she is a partner in her own firm. And so occasionally she'll need an extra set of eyes to help out with whatever needs to be done. Most recently, I've been doing work in the medical marijuana industry, helping set up the first dispensary to open up and start doing business in Southern Nevada. And that was, it was a painful process compared to poker because there was a bidding process or an application process with the state for all these groups to get in on the medical marijuana business. And it was basically 2 weeks of 14-hour days just poring over these thousands upon thousands of pages to make sure everything in the application was just picture perfect so that the state would grant its approval. And that kind of work actually came at a fortuitous time for me because it was after a long summer of bricking tournaments. So it was nice to make some variance for money, help out my girlfriend, help out the clients who, of course, are very awesome people, and kind of stay in the law game a little bit.
Yeah, well, I definitely want to talk about the law thing some more, but let's pivot a little bit there. I don't know anything about this state of medical marijuana in Nevada. What's the status on that now? Are we moving to sort of like a Colorado, Washington? Is it going to be one of those, or is it going to be a little, more restricted than that? I'm sure there are people out there who would want to know that.
Well, it's definitely not legal for recreational use in Nevada yet. If I had to bet on it, I would bet on the legislature probably setting up some sort of recreational scheme in the near future, maybe in the next 3 or 4 legislative sessions, which of course would be 6 to 8 years because Nevada's legislature meets every 2 years. But right now, it's legal if you get if you go through the approval process with the doctor, and then you can get a card from the DMV and go to one of these dispensaries and purchase up to, I think the limit is 3.5 ounces. It's actually there's a surprisingly high number of people in Nevada who have medical marijuana cards. It's actually growing. So I think it's a booming business.
You probably play poker with them on a semi-regular basis. At least someone like, didn't I see you at the shop? Let's coming back to the lawyer thing. When I started playing live poker for a living, you would play a lot of the time with lawyers. It seems to be of the non-professional poker players, one of the most common jobs that you kind of encounter at a poker table. You see lawyers and doctors, and I've always thought that among the amateurs, the lawyers were definitely the toughest players back, at least when I played a lot of live poker. Do you think there's a bit of a crossover there, or does it seem like there's a lot of lawyers who play poker, or is that just sort of my own mental bias and selective memory?
I think you're onto something. I think there's a large crossover between poker and lawyering. I think that the skills that a great lawyer has apply very well to the poker table. Having an analytical mind to, say, break down an argument is somewhat similar to an analysis of breaking down the previous action in a hand to come to a conclusion about your opponent's range or about what you should do in the hand. I think that also law is a very competitive business, and there's nothing more competitive than sitting down and trying to take somebody's money right in front of their face at the poker table. So it's an outlet for the lawyer's natural competitiveness that's also social in a way.
Yeah, and they tend to work through things like a lawyer when he's putting an argument together or something. This is obviously my grade 6 sort of legal knowledge, but it seems like you've got to work through something from point to point to point, just like you've got to build a story of a hand. A guy's telling you a story in a hand. You've got to go back and sort of analyze each and every move, and it seems like something that a lawyer would be doing all day.
Oh, absolutely. But in my experience, the actual work of practicing law is a lot less of that and a lot more, how to put this, delicately, wading through words and trying to turn this word soup into something that is presentable and won't embarrass you in front of a judge. That's certainly the kind of that's certainly the part that I find most stressful. About practicing law is trying to control that perfectionist streak, because at the end of the day, you have to submit something. You're going to have a deadline. You can't make sure that every little thing is absolutely perfect, or else you'll go crazy. So the actual day-to-day of lawyering is much less like poker in that way.
So we've talked about lawyers playing poker and enjoying, and good lawyers often making good poker players. To what extent do you think the reverse might be true? Are there poker players that would make good lawyers, or would a large segment, or would most of them, they just are poker players just too lazy to become good lawyers? Because obviously it's a hardworking profession. What are your thoughts on what the crossover might look like in the other direction, hypothetically?
I think the barriers to entry to the legal profession might deter many of the poker players who just aren't quite as conscientious to get through 3 years of law school and then however long it takes to study for the bar exam and actually pass it. I think that's probably the biggest hurdle in the opposite direction. But I think a lot of poker players just are very good at naturally picking apart arguments or naturally using somebody's logic against them, which, say, in open court or even in a battle of briefs, could come in very handy.
Yeah, and getting up at 7 a.m. is probably not something they want to do every day. I'm fascinated by the whole medical marijuana thing. We're Canadians. We're sitting here looking at a country that has a federal law against having marijuana. We see jails completely stocked full of people who were unfortunately caught carrying it and are gone for 10 years or whatever. And then we have 2 states that it's completely legal in, and they can walk around in that state with it. And so this sort of battle between states and federal laws, it's got to be sort of a weird time, right, for this specific industry.
Oh, definitely. It's actually pretty important when it comes to how they handle money. I've read a few articles about how there's a cottage industry of just basically money management for these not only medical marijuana dispensaries, but also the recreational marijuana dispensaries in Colorado and Washington, where banks simply won't accept transactions with these companies because they're violating federal law. And so the cottage industry of basically protecting cash that they have to keep on hand has sprung up in these places. That's one big thing that will have to be straightened out at the federal level for certain. Is how banks will deal with the medical marijuana industry. And let's see. And I mean, it's as for the people who were locked up and are locked up, I think it's an absolute travesty that has happened and continues to happen, and that's one thing that I hope politicians actually start to take seriously at a federal level.
I mentioned in the intro as well that you were on Jeopardy, and Terrence brought up the fact that you had the unfortunate luck to run up against Mr. Ken Jennings when you did appear. Can you tell us about your trip to Jeopardy, how it happened, and how it went?
Well, I got on the show by they had a tryout in Washington, D.C. I'm from the D.C. area. My parents live there, and it was during my spring break of my junior year. So I decided I would just try out, do the quiz there. I got the call back a few months later saying that I got on, and by that time I'd already been watching Ken Jennings on TV. I flew out there. You go to Sony Picture Studios. You just stand around the parking garage, just chit-chatting with all the other contestants. You know, people start showing up, trickling in. You show up on a Tuesday, because they tape on Tuesday and Wednesday. They do 2 weeks of shows. And you just show up in the parking garage, you're meeting the other contestants, and the big sweat is Ken going to show up? And, of course, it's the very last person to show up. Like, you can just tell everybody, like, the wind's, like, already out of their sails. It's like, you know, you show up to a three-point shooting contest and Steph Curry shows up, and you're like, well, not winning this one.
So much for that.
But, yeah, so we get there. If you're not playing, you sit in the studio audience and you get to watch the other games. And I was on the last show, and basically, you know, took it in the shorts, to put it mildly. I would like to describe it as some sort of tabula rasa tilt to explain how I missed some of the easier questions, but it's not like it would have affected the result anyway. Got third for 1,000
on the show,
and
you're not allowed to use Latin on the Pokercast, just for the record. I know you're a lawyer, but you're not allowed to say
that's the very first time.
Whoa, I mean, you know, I can't. I don't want to be too big time highfalutin lawyery.
Did you run bad in categories?
Actually, a little bit. There was in the game before mine, there was a literature category where I would have absolutely crushed it. Again, probably would not have crushed it enough to actually win the game, but would have crushed it enough to save myself some embarrassment for sure. But yeah, it was rough. I took it pretty hard. Afterwards, I went to Hollywood Park and played 1-2 No Limit, and was pretty much crying behind my sunglasses, which it's another great reason to wear sunglasses when you're playing live poker, not just to conceal eye tells, but to preserve that dignity equity when you're actually crying, and you don't want anybody to see it.
No.
And you know, I think I won more in that 1-2 game just by running really good than I did on Jeopardy. I spent 1,000 for third, and I probably spent 1,000 on the hotel and flight. So. Hey, there's always poker.
Yeah, poker again saved you. Okay, so talk to me about the buzzer. There's this thing. I watch Jeopardy. I've watched it for years. If you're good with the buzzer, you're gonna have a big edge. Give me the GTO buzzer move?
Okay, so the way the buzzer works is there's a ring of red lights that goes on around the game board that the TV audience can't see, but the players can see it. And right the split second when Alex finishes reading the question, the lights go on. And when those lights are on, you can buzz in. If you buzz in before the lights go on, you're locked out for a second, which is, you know, an eternity.
Huge.
When you're up against two other people. And if you're too late, then somebody else is going to get in before you. And so having that timing, anticipating when the light's going to go on, because if you wait to actually see it and then wait for the, you know, photons to hit your eyes and then your thumb to hit the button, you're going to be way too late. So you have to anticipate it. And Ken, having played 40, 50-something games before, had that anticipation down to an art.
Oh, I imagine. Yeah, he's got it pegged.
So yeah, the GTO strategy is to have 50 games to practice it, and then you know, then you really got it down. But I think actually maybe if you like worked on some sort of like reflex thing, it might help. Just because maybe there is a way to like tune your reflexes to mash that buzzer quickly after you see the light.
I wonder pressing the button like 12 times. Like if the way you're describing, that seems very unnecessary.
Oh, well, the producers tell you to do that because if, say, you're locked out, then you want to get back in as soon as possible. I think the way it works is that once you're locked out, the extra times you hit the button doesn't lock you out further. So I guess it just gives you an opportunity to say if everybody gets locked out, then mashing it over and over again might give you a slight edge.
Gotcha.
But I have no idea.
All right, so we're going to play some Poker Jeopardy. Should we? You guys ready to go? Is there wagering on this, T? You ready to pony up some dough?
I don't know if he lays me like 8-1 or something. Like I'm in there against like a guy who's like dedicated a big chunk of his life to it. My internet sucks. Like there's no. I mean, geez. Like what are you willing to lay me?
8-1 seems a little steep. How about 3-1? I'm not feeling that cocky.
3-1, T.
Oh God. Okay. I guess I can't even turn down 3-1 because I feel like I would just be like a big giant.
We would never let you forget about it. Yeah. All right, 3-1. All right. What's the wager?
3-1. Okay. What are we betting? I don't know. 25 to win 100, or 25 to win 75, or 103. What?
How about let's split the difference. 150 to 50.
150 to 50.
Okay, excellent. That's excellent. All right. I'm gonna get smashed. But that's a.
All right, so here's how it's going to work. We've got Skype Convo. People who are listening aren't going to see this, but we've got a way to figure out who's buzzing in first and going to answer the question. I'm going to keep track. We have 6 categories and some daily doubles thrown in, and we have a final Jeopardy. This is going to be a lot of fun. Hopefully we don't screw this up. This is our first time doing something like this, so please bear with us if we do have a bit of a problem. There's 4 questions in each category. T, you got a question?
Yeah, well, you mentioned before we went on that we're okay to interrupt you, so there's no lockout phase that Leo was talking about. We can just answer as soon as the first word comes out of your mouth if we want to.
Exactly. Right? So I'll stop as soon as I see somebody wants to answer. If you answer incorrectly, the other person has the total free roll to hear the whole question and answer it. So 6 categories. 4 questions in each category, 200, 400, 600, 800 value. Like I said, daily doubles, and we'll have a final Jeopardy as well. So hopefully we won't, as I said, mess this up. All right, you guys ready to go?
Let's do this.
All right.
Are you keeping score? I'm not even going to remember.
I'm going to keep score. Yes, indeed. This is going to. All right. Here we go with the topics. Main event madness. Potent pokerables. Like that, eh? Things getting a little racy. Poker nicknames. Worst poker variants. Poker Hall of Shame. All right, so why don't we go the visitor, Leo, you go ahead. 200, 400, 600, 800 question in each category. First question.
All right, I'm going to take a page out of the Alex Jacob book and jump around.
Okay.
And
I can't even remember the categories.
Yeah, I should have written this down.
Yeah, we should probably copy paste.
I'll go Poker Hall of Shame because I remember that. I heard that last. And 600.
All right, Poker Hall of Shame for 600. Known by the online screen name Stocks Trader, this poker player. Oh, Leo.
Oh man, Nick Grudzian.
Yes, Nick Grudzian. Correct, sir. Leo off to the quick start.
Email.
Oop. Wrong drop, Russ.
That's correct.
All right. Next question.
The anticipation part. This is good. This is playing to my strengths.
Where are we going?
Oh, right. I so rarely actually got one right in the real show. I forgot what to do afterwards. So let's go Main Event Madness 400.
Main Event Madness 400 is a daily double.
Oh, baby.
Oh, come on.
I'm not kidding. Well, you want him... Oh, nice. You want him to get it early, I guess.
You'll be hearing from Sony's lawyers.
You can wager... What's the Jeopardy rule? I don't even know. You've only got 600. What's the Jeopardy rule as far as how much you can wager?
I always thought you could wager up to the maximum question available. So I think I can wager 800.
Okay, fair enough.
So I'm going to do that.
In true Alex Jacob style, 800 is the wager. Main event madness for 400. This World Series of Poker Hall of Famer introduced satellite tournaments to poker in the 1970s.
Oh, wow.
You could play the thinking music right now.
Oh, and I know this.
Hall of Famer.
Damn.
I'm going to guess Tom McAvoy because he won the main event.
Tom McAvoy is incorrect.
Oh, brutal. In the hole.
That is Eric Drake.
Eric Drake.
Yeah.
Fuck, I would have had that one.
CT, you're not drawing dead.
Yeah, see?
Yeah.
All right, where are we going next, Leo?
Pokerables, or Potent Pokerables. 400.
Potent Pokerables 400. Serving a fantastic green smoothie, this food truck to the poker world. Terrence Chan.
What is All-American Dave?
Correct, sir.
Oh, yeah, I forgot to answer in the form of a question, too. I'm really drawing dead now.
Oh, you did?
Oh, yes. Excellent. Okay, I will take worst poker variants for 1,000.
800 is the biggest one.
800, whatever.
Worst poker variants.
The max. Spread limit Jeopardy.
Worst poker variants. PokerStars used to spread this split pot 4-card game in the client many, many, many years ago, but it died. Terrence.
What is No Limit Omaha 8 or better?
Correct.
That's correct.
Oh my God, Terrence.
That does have 4 cards.
Crushing early.
Let's go Things Getting a Little Racy for 800.
Things Getting a Little Racy is a daily double.
Oh, sweet. I thought there was only one round. I guess this is the only round.
There's only one round game, so
okay.
there's 2.
So what's my bankroll, right? What's my stack?
You are
right
at 1,200 right now, your stack.
Okay, let's ship all of it.
All 1,200. I love it.
What a sweat.
Things Getting a Little Racy for 1,200. This is the full name of the only poker player to be naked in Playboy magazine.
Who is Jennifer Lee?
Correct.
Nice.
I struggled on it. I was like, it's genocide. What the hell is her last name?
You were Googling, weren't you? No Googling.
I was not Googling.
I thought it was Shannon Elizabeth.
Incorrect.
Oh, is it 2,400 to negative 200?
It's 2,400 to negative 200. Yes, you're keeping track in your head. I like it. All right, Terrence.
That's correct.
To you.
I guess I could just. Eventually, maybe we'll run out of time if I just stall. So
we're not going to run out of time. It's a podcast.
Poker Potent Potables, whatever it is, for 200.
Potent Pokerables for 200. Whenever 14-time bracelet winner Philip Hellmuth goes out on the town, this champagne is sure to be in shorts. Leo.
What is Dom Perignon?
Correct, sir. You are back up to 0, and
nice.
you're bored.
Back to break even. Let's go with Poker Hall of Shame 800.
Poker Hall of Shame for 800. In 2009, at the EPT San Remo, this player sold more than 100% of himself in an EPT main event and stupidly went on to win the event and 1.5 million euros, creating a bit of an issue for himself.
Oh, man, we did this on the show, too. I don't remember the guy's name.
Nobody?
I mean, I just don't want to risk the 800, even though I have an idea.
All right.
I'm very nitty. Actually, no, let's buzz in.
Oh, Leo's buzzing in. All right.
Who is Max Heinzelman?
Incorrect, sir. Oh. That is Constant Reichenberg.
Wow.
All right. Who's bored? Terrence?
Gambling, getting punished.
Yeah. He's still in control.
Oh, okay.
Let's go
Leo.
with Poker Nicknames 800.
Poker Nicknames 800. Bobby Baldwin. Terrence.
What is the Eagle?
Incorrect. Leo?
What is the Owl?
Correct.
Goddamn.
Big swing.
Thank you, Super System. Remember that picture of him, like the little caricature.
That's right. What a giant swing.
I knew it was wrong when I said it, too.
You were close. The Eagle, yeah. All right. And it is Leo.
All right. Let's go Main Event Madness 800.
Main Event Madness 800. In the 2005 main event, Sami Farha busted a man on the very first hand dealt when his ace-10 beat his opponent's 10-10 on an ace-ace-10 flop. His opponent, Oliver Hudson, the son of what famous Hollywood actress? Leo.
Who is Kate Hudson?
No, sir.
Probably a little too young for that.
Soundboard froze.
I wanted to say that, and I was like, I don't think she's old enough to have somebody playing in the main event. I'm just going to let it slide. You can time me out.
All right, Buzz. The answer is Goldie Hawn. Goldie Hawn.
That makes sense.
Really?
I probably heard that somewhere.
All right, Leo, you are still in charge.
All right. Well, what's left on the board?
Main Event Madness, 200, 600. Potent Pokerables, 600 and 800. Things Getting a Little Racy, 246. Poker Nicknames, 246. Worst Poker Variants, 246. And Hall of Shame, 24.
All right, let's go Racy 6.
Things Getting a Little Racy for 600. Delinquent father and old school railbird Sam Grizzle was given a 5-yard head start versus this young WPT champion in a 50-yard race at the Commerce for $50,000.
Wow. The story sounds familiar, but I'm definitely not risking 600 on this.
All right, nobody? Terrence?
I'm also knitting it up on this one.
All right, that man is Tuan Lee. Tuan Lee.
Never heard about that. Who was?
Sam did.
I'd have to imagine Tuan Lee won, even though he's pretty short. So,
well, put it this way: Ted Forrest put Sam in the prop bet and put up the money.
Okay.
So you can take a guess who won.
Sam won.
All right. Next question, Mr. Leo Wolpert.
All right, Main Event Madness. We got 600 on that?
We have 600 left for Main Event Madness. Phil Hellmuth and Joe Cata both won their titles with this poker hand. Terrence Chan. Oh, sorry, it was Leo. Leo was in first.
I thought I was first.
Sorry.
I'm going to go with, what is Pocket Nines?
Pocket Nines is correct for 600.
Correct.
All right.
Got to remember the Neo from the old UB scandal.
That's right. Next question.
Main Event Madness 400, please.
200 is left. We'll go to that one. Jack Urey, the oldest man to play in the 2009 main event, got it all in with 2+2 or Reno Doc on a board of 7-6-6, holding 7-7 against Reno's 7-6, and uttered this famous phrase when he saw Reno's hand.
Ooh.
Terrence Chan.
Wow.
What is... You're in trouble.
You're in trouble is correct.
No bonus points for the impression, though.
Oh, no extra points.
Wow, that was the closest buzz-in.
That was a quick buzz. Yeah, that was a close one. All right, Terrence.
Right, let's finish it off. Main Event Madness for 200.
We're done. That was 200.
I think
that was 200.
That
Sorry.
category,
okay,
finito.
So that category's done?
Yeah.
Okay. Worst poker variants for 200.
Worst poker variants for 200. Anyone forced to play this because the No Limit Hold'em tournament they're playing in is oversold will probably be falling asleep or wanting to kill themselves in no time. Anybody? Leo.
What is Raz?
No, sorry. Is the question? Maybe the question was bad.
I feel like this is more of an opinion question.
It is kind of an opinion question, but it's 10-hand. The answer is 10-handed No Limit Hold'em. Bad question? T, what do you think?
Yeah,
it's misleading.
Poorly worded question. Okay, we're just going to throw that out the window. We won't count that.
Oh, man. I will take your charity.
We are very unprofessional.
Giving him flashbacks. I'm giving this.
Oh, yeah. I mean, at least I was in the positives in Final Jeopardy on the real thing.
Did Ken Jennings ever say, don't worry about that question?
Oh, never.
All right, Terrence, back to the board.
Okay. Things getting a little racy for what's left?
2 and 4.
All right, 400.
Things getting a little racy. Many years ago, poker stalwart Daniel Negreanu thought it would be totally okay to dress up in blackface and go to a party dressed up as a man from this country. Leo Wolpert.
What is Jamaica?
Correct, sir.
That's correct.
All right, we have 200 left and things getting a little racy.
What's the highest dollar amount question remaining?
We have we have an 800 in potent Pokerables.
Yes, 800 potent Pokeballs. Let's do it.
This beer is the preferred brand of 1998 World Series of Poker, Leo Wolpert.
I wish I was the World Series of Poker winner then, but what is Michelob Baby?
That's correct.
Michelob, yes, Michelob is right. For 1,000 now, you have 1,000. Terrence has 1,800. And
oh, wow. All right, not a lockout.
I haven't locked out yet. I need this.
There's lots left on the board.
Potent Pokeballs.
For 600.
600, sure.
This method of consuming alcohol at the poker table was made popular by the British rails at the World Series of Poker. Nobody.
I finally wish I drank.
I mean, chugging?
Specifically how they did it. All right, it's a shoe bomb. They were drinking shots out of their shoes. Yes, Pokerballs is done.
Okay. Let's go with the Hall of Shame.
The Hall of
400?
Shame.
Is that available?
Yeah, that is available. 2 and 400 still left there. The Hall of Shame. This second place finisher to Greg Raymer in 2004 was found, Leo Wolpert.
Who is David Williams.
Correct. Was found in a low-budget porno about this. Oh, no, incorrect. Sorry. I will read the question again for Terrence. This second-place finisher to Greg Raymer in 2004 was found in a low-budget porno about this sexy fetish.
Oh, what is toe licking?
Oh, judges, foot fetish. Foot fetish or toe sucking?
I mean, that's you got to take that.
That's got to be good.
Describing what happened in the actual video, that's pretty good.
That is pretty strong.
I haven't seen it. What are you trying to accuse me of?
All right.
I haven't watched it.
Sure.
All right, score.
Just trying to balance your IRL bluffing range. I feel you.
Terrence has 2,200. Leo 600. Terrence, you have the board.
Oh, I guess I should keep stalling.
No, you're not stalling. We're getting to every question.
Jeez. What? No, there's a television show. We're supposed to run out of time at some point. Poker nicknames. What's left?
Poker nicknames 2, 4, and 6 is left there.
All right, 200. I'm convinced that eventually you'll call an end to this. So poker nicknames for 200.
Chad Brown. Leo Wolpert.
What is downtown?
Correct. Downtown.
Poker nicknames 400. I'm anti-stalling.
Poker nicknames 400.
Yeah, it's ironic. Terrence is trying to stall against me. I thought Terrence was like the number one most vocal anti-staller on the planet.
He is, I think. Ram Vaswani. Terrence Chan.
What is Crazy Horse?
Correct.
That's correct.
That's a good pull.
Nice.
All right. Well, we'll do the poker nicknames for 6.
Justin Smith. Leo Wolpert.
What is Boosted J?
Correct.
That's correct.
Boosted J. Poker nicknames is done. We've run the table. We have things getting a little racy for 200. We have worst poker variants for 4 and 6, and Poker Hall of Shame for 200.
Let's finish out Hall of Shame.
Hall of Shame for 200. Poker reporter Jay Noonan used these 2 different items to steal tips from drop boxes that were stored in Leo Wolpert.
What are one chopstick and another chopstick?
Slow roll. I was like, what? I don't remember the story wrong.
Okay, maybe I did. Maybe I remembered it wrong. Wasn't it with gum? Didn't he have? Wasn't it chopsticks and gum?
Oh, maybe it was.
Didn't he put gum on the end of his chopsticks, and that's how he got the?
That could be it. That could be it. I thought it was just the chopsticks.
I could be wrong too. Why don't we? Maybe we don't have a. I feel.
I mean, you could just give me the negative 200 right now. If you're
all right, so negative 200 because I think I said two different. I believe it was gum and chopsticks. All right,
that makes sense. Yeah.
So we have.
I guess chips are probably too slippery to pick up with just wooden chopsticks. I think you get enough friction.
You would think, but he took it to the next level. All right, 3 questions left. Things getting a little racy, and worst poker variants.
Can he mathematically catch me, or am I far enough?
He can come close to you, but of course we have Final Jeopardy coming up.
Oh, man. Let's go with racy.
Things are getting a little racy for 200. This poker player, who bears a striking resemblance to the Simpsons comic book guy, thinks the slurred Leo Wolpert.
Who is Todd Brunson.
Correct.
That's
thinks
correct.
the slurred...
Damn it, I almost read the table at that time, which would have been sort of shameful in itself, the fact that I know like 2 porn questions about poker.
Worst poker variants for 4 and 6. Doesn't seem like this was the most
Some
popular
of the best
category.
things that I've ever put in my mouth.
Nice.
Well, let's see. What's left?
Worst poker variants for 4 and 6, sir.
Worst poker variant 6, please.
This home game is usually left to the end of the night when many are stuck and steaming. 2 cards are dealt face up, then the player has to... Leo Wolpert.
What is AC-doocy? Or between the sheets.
But yeah, in between is the one. I guess it's called different things.
Yeah, that counts.
You knew what game we were talking about. I believe that we're going to take that. Worst poker variants for 400. This game is usually played pot limit, but occasionally you'll come across it in this different, very boring format. Terrence Chan.
I probably shouldn't have even buzzed in. What is 5-card stud?
No, sir.
Wait, what's the score now? Because I gotta just.
It's 2,200 to 2,000.
Okay, so I can guess and miss and still be within a shot.
You can.
So I'm going to buzz in.
Okay.
And I'm going to guess what is Limit Omaha.
Limit Omaha High is correct.
That's correct.
That seems like such an opinion question.
Also an opinion question, but I will.
There was enough in it for him to answer.
It's very boring.
And Limit 5 Card Stud isn't? Limit 5 Card Stud is the worst game on the planet.
All right, sir. Limit Stud I've never come across. I've come across Omaha High Limit many times. And you're right, it is an opinion question. Take it to the judges. All right, so going into Final Jeopardy, we have Leo Wolpert with 2,400, Terrence Chan with 2,200, and we've got a system here worked out for Final Jeopardy. The category, high-stakes poker.
Okay.
All right, so high-stakes poker, again, is the category. Terrence's wager is locked in, and let's go with the question. Are you guys ready? These are the two original announcers for Season 1 of High Stakes Poker. Yes, good use of the... We'll wait for Terrence to enter his guess. He is typing. That's a good sign. Oh, you got the extended version. Nice, Ross. I thought it ended right there. Terrence is not typing anymore. That could be a problem. The two original announcers for Season 1 of High Stakes Poker. Terrence's answer is locked in, and I'm... All right, so we're going to go to Leo Wolpert. Leo, your answer...
Okay,
first of all, your wager.
My wager?
Yeah.
I'm going to wager 2001.
2001 is the wager, and the answer?
My answer is, who are Gabe Kaplan and AJ Benza?
That is correct, sir. Terrence's wager now is 2,200, and his answer is Gabe Kaplan and fuck.
Fucking younger guy's name. And you were a massive tell box, I just want to say. During that, you can't tell him that I'm typing and I stop typing. You were the worst Jeopardy host ever.
That's probably true.
To be fair, the tells had absolutely no effect on my wager answer.
No, I obviously. He's still bad at running it.
I am bad. This is the first time I've ever ran it.
Whoever on Twitch has been streaming high stakes poker over and over again illegally, because I have been watching that while grinding online on WSOP.com Nevada. So thank you.
Nice.
What was doing that? I owe you some portion of this win.
Yeah, I
almost pulled off the upset. I was ahead, and then I choked a bunch of choked out away my lead, or just allotted me like 24. Start.
I thought you were going to be Holly Holm to my Ronda Rousey, buddy.
What was the we changed the Final Jeopardy question? Remember what was it before? Because I thought that I wanted you guys equally to have a chance to get it.
Who lost Aces versus Aces in the one drop?
In the one drop. The category was going to be one drop.
That's easy.
I knew it. Adam was like,
I'm like, T might not get that. I don't know if he watched. Like, did he watch it at all? Anyway,
wait, which one drop?
The one drop when
pretty easy.
The Aces versus Aces hand when
Connor versus Gary.
Yeah, exactly.
And the other one
was the hand where people, like random people that don't even know anything about poker were asking me if I've ever seen this hand.
Oh, really?
Like guys in the MMA gym were just like, "Have you seen this? This is crazy."
It's because on YouTube, I think it was titled as "Poker Player Loses $1 Million
with Aces." Yeah. Stumble across it.
And the other one was, what is the hand that Jennifer Tilly folded to Phil Ivey?
Oh, yeah. What were the two cards in Jennifer Tilly's hand when she checked behind with second nuts in
Do we have to name the suits?
No, just the two cards.
Oh, okay. Because I got this one because I've seen this hand
100 times?
Hundreds upon hundreds of times. It's a classic. Whenever I feel bad about how I'm playing, I fire that up and I'm like, well, I probably didn't do something like that. So... yeah, it's two jacks.
It is Jack, yeah, for sure. Terrence, what do you got that one?
I would have got that wrong. No, I thought it was two queens, so I would have got that wrong.
Yeah, that was a masterful stroke of editing, by the way. Just how they got all the reactions of all the other pros in that game. And,
when they had their camera on
Patrick
Phil.
saying "full house," and there's this long pregnant pause at the end, and it's like, I can't beat that.
I can't beat that.
Yeah.
What a drama.
Oh, right. It was against Patrick. I said Phil. Phil was the reaction when he rolled his eye, or not?
His eyes bugging out.
His eyes bugged out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Indeed. We had
Lindgren, trying and practically failing to contain his laughter.
Yeah, it's like she's so awesome. We had her on the show talking about that, and she's. I love Jennifer a ton. All right, thanks so much, Leo.
She is awesome.
That was a lot of fun. Maybe we can try that again, and Terrence can get some revenge.
I need to ship you $50 on Stars. Yeah.
Well, not on Stars, buddy. Don't know if I'll be able to put that to use, but I'm sure I'll see you. I know you're good for it.
We'll see you at the World Series, I'm sure.
We'll figure it out.
All right.
Yep.
Thanks so much, Leo. Really appreciate your time. Congrats on taking down that tournament today, and thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure, and thank you very much for having me.
No problem. Oh, that was a lot of fun. Apologies that it was our first attempt at something like this, so I probably butchered a bunch of stuff there. If we do it again, hopefully we learn from our mistakes. T, you're going to be able to go on with the show? You're not down in the dumps?
I know how he feels. Because we spent, he was talking about crying behind his sunglasses trying to play this 1-2 game after he got smoked by Ken Jennings. I may have to do the same. I'm just going to have to look for the bucket of Haagen-Dazs ice cream and start eating out of it with a spoon.
All right, so let's get to some stuff from the listeners before we jump into a break and then get to email. We have a thread in our forum called the comments and questions to the show thread. I've got a couple of things this week that we're going to quickly answer, and then we're going to get to some mailbag after the break. The first one comes in from Super Doke, and he says, "Hey guys, love the show. Not missed an episode in at least 7 or 8 years. I have an EV question about the U.S. lottery. I'm from the UK, so this may be dumb, but a news article says 86% of combinations have been picked for the next draw. This is the recent one. Given the recent DraftKings scandal, does this mean that someone has access to what those combinations are, so they could use this to pick the numbers that haven't been chosen, increase their value by having the only winning ticket? Given its odds are 1 in 292 million, there are 45 million combinations not chosen, so it's unlikely anyone can use this information usefully, but the principle there of being able to check a certain combination has not been used by anyone else, ? So, I think you answered your own question. It seems like it's going to be tough for anybody to use that information other than on some small level, because it's going to have to be close to the end of when the draw happens. By definition, and then you're going to have to somehow, spend a bunch of money if you're plus EV and then fade the variance. So it seems like a long road.
Yeah, and even if it's the case that there's a computer out there that knows that 85.8% of the combinations used, that doesn't necessarily imply that a human who has access to the ones who haven't been picked yet knows. So, I mean, as long as there are some reasonable checks and balances, and I'm sure this stuff is decently well guarded, it doesn't mean that there's likely to be a scandal. Although, who knows? Maybe we will be reading about the great Powerball scandal of 2016. Who knows? But I think it's probably just some computer that happens to know this, and there's some checks and balances in place.
Yeah. Again, it's pretty long road, and it's just such a to do it properly, you have to buy. So many to realize your EV. You've got to. Here's the thing,
Well, no, not necessarily, because if you knew a certain combination wasn't picked, you could just buy that one and just have more EV than everybody else. I mean, you're still not going to win, but I mean.
I think somebody was saying that the best thing you can do is pick high numbers because over 31. Because so many people pick birth dates. Oh, my daughter's birthday, my dad's birthday, my birthday.
It's like an exploitive strategy. Yeah, it's funny, but of course, again, you have the thing. Well, if enough people do that strategy, then it becomes inferior. I mean, this is game theory, right? This is exactly what game theory is. People are doing one thing, so you exploit them by doing the opposite thing, and then, but if people start re-exploiting, if everybody's got this thought, then it becomes better to just go back to random. So this is a perfect. We had the listener last week, I think, ask for an explanation in game theory. This is a pretty good way. The idea is people pick birthdays, so you go over 30. But then if other people are smart, they'll also go over 30, which devalues your ticket. So you're better off at the beginning again. Going for small numbers or random numbers. So that's game theory in a nutshell.
There it is. Next one. Azol writes, "Yo, my name is Adam Z from Normal, Illinois." Yeah, that's a real place. It's the new Kells. I'm calling it. Anyway, I'm facing a decision that no man should ever be faced to answer: bacon or titties. I'm dating an awesome girl who is a gorgeous doctor, but she's also a vegan. She's disgusted by even the smell of bacon, and won't be anywhere near it. What do I do? This is a tough one. This might be the hardest question to answer here or that we've ever had to answer.
Oh, there's our first siren.
Maple Ridge Fire Department, hard at work. Do you go for the girl or do you go for the bacon? It's a tough call. I'm leaning bacon, T.
It is, because if it was just that she didn't eat bacon, I would count that as a strike, but that's not necessarily a deal breaker. But not even the smell of bacon basically means that if you shack up and get married and serious with this girl and she's the one, that means you never get to cook bacon in the house.
Never.
You never get to hook bacon in the house. I'll repeat that. That's a serious life decision.
You don't get to have a child, and then the child doesn't say,
you can't feed your child bacon. Oh, what was it? Oh, bacon. Yeah, that was. Did you see that?
I watch that video once a day.
I just don't feel like I'm qualified to answer this question. I think this requires a panel of experts. So I think people need to go on the forums at pokercast.2plus2.com.
Bacon and girl.
Help out Adam Z or Adam Z. I guess he's American, so Adam Z.
Adam Z.
And help him with this role. I don't have a good answer for this. Yeah. I'm not qualified. That's too much pressure.
There's so many ramifications. You can't even go have bacon at a restaurant and come home. She hates the smell of it. You can't be on your breath. There's got to be some sort of flossing and brushing before you enter the house. You got to take take floss and your toothbrush to the restaurant that you have bacon on.
What if
people do change?
What if you just What if you just you just do it? You just go for it, and you just be like, you don't like the bacon, then you can leave. Just play hardball.
I don't like tofu. I don't like quinoa.
Right. You've been listening to the 2+2 Pokercast. We're going to be back with mailbag, a full mailbag, and a voicemail as well. Keep it right here. You're listening to the 2+2 Pokercast presented by the PokerStars VIP Club. More right after this.
At blinds 120K, 240K, it's folded to me in the cutoff, and I raise ace-king off to 480,000 with a stack of 14.6 million. Button folds, and the small blind 3-bets to 1.25 million with an effective stack of 8.9 million. I've played with the guy some in previous days. I felt he wouldn't flat call many hands from the small blind and was capable of getting out of line pre-flop. I 4-bet to 2.15 million with the intention to call his shove. He went all in, I quickly called, and he also had ace-king off. The flop came down with 3 clubs. I had the king club, but he had the ace of club. The turn was another club, and I doubled him up.
Team Pro Online's Marc-Andre French Dog Ladouceur is a Supernova Elite VIP. This is the 2+2 Pokercast, presented by the PokerStars VIP Club.
Attention everyone not named Alan Kessler. Have someone you would love to appear on the PokerCast? Have someone you don't want to hear again on the PokerCast? Head on over to the Suggest a Guest thread in the PokerCast forum at 2plus2.com, and Adam will do his best to make you happy. P.S. Chainsaw, you can post too.
Hey, it's Mike from the 2plus2 store and ProfessionalPoker.com. 2plus2 is pleased to announce the release of their most anticipated book in ages, Applications of No Limit Hold'em, a guide to understanding theoretical sound poker by Matthew John Doe. This book will give you the ability to create the bet sizings and ranges which will beat the better players. The theory in this book is not designed to be complex or abstract, but rather it's intended to be applied immediately, producing better overall results. Many confusing concepts such as overbetting, balancing multiple bet sizing ranges, donk betting, and check raising as a pre-flop raiser are crucial to a player's strategy, despite few players implementing them or talking about them. And after reading this book, you should be able to not only conceptually understand these ideas, but also know how to begin incorporating them into your game, and thereby successfully compete against tough opponents. And at the 2plus2 store, we accept all credit cards, plus PayPal and NetTeller.
Hey, poker fans, don't forget about the 2plus2.com digital magazine. Each month, a wide array of poker professionals and media write fascinating articles about the game you love. Want to learn about big blind versus small blind hand ranges? How about optimal Jeopardy daily double strategy? Topics like those and many others are covered every month. Head on over to 2plus2.com to see what the magazine has to offer this month.
Welcome back to the 2+2 Pokercast, presented by the PokerStars VIP Club. That was fun. Our inaugural version of Poker Jeopardy with Leo Wolpert. We might do that again. Maybe T, you can do up the questions next time, and I'll take somebody on. See how I do. Or you know who would be epic battle would be MJ Kev Math.
Yeah, I'll try to run the game better.
Well, you can learn by my mistakes. I mean, trailblazers always show the way for those after them. I see what you're saying there.
Right. Yeah, MJ Kevmath would have been good like 2 years ago, but Kevmath's just going to annihilate him now.
Right. Yeah, I would think that's probably true. We mentioned we were going to get a IPWAF nominee from Leo, and we forgot to do it during the interview, but we asked him after, and he wanted to put Taylor Cabey up on the wall, and I think that's an excellent
Great
choice.
Selection. Yeah, that's somebody I wanted to probably put up there for a few shows now, to be honest.
Indeed, yeah. He one of the first businessmen in poker, started Card Runners, played the nosebleeds against Prahlad and everybody else back in the day. Fantastic choice for the Internet Poker's Wall of Fame. We'll put him up. We got to get caught up. We got a bunch of people to throw up there on the wall, and we will do that shortly. I was actually seeing if I could find a writer to do it up properly and pay for somebody to write all the ones that we haven't got to yet. So if you're out there, you're a poker writer, you're listening, and you think you do a really good job with it, shoot us an email, pokercast@2plus2.com, and let me know. Yeah, let's quickly do the Invitational. I forgot to get to that. This is the PokerStars Invitational for PokerCast listeners, 10 o'clock Eastern, 10 a.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. Each and every Sunday, $500 added, $1.10 buy-in, fantastic value. Head on over to the Invitational Tournament. It's in the private tab of the tournament's lobby. This weekend, January 17th, Sunday, 6 max PLO is the format. The password PCA 2016, all one word or all no spaces.
The most you can bet or raise is the size of a pot.
That is 6 max PLO, and then January 24th, the format is going to be PLO 8 in honor of our own Talon Chick, our buddy, and the password Talon Chick. So all lowercase, all one word, PLO 8, January 24th. Throw it into your schedule, put it in your Google Calendar, set up an alert, do something, get in that tournament each and every Sunday for the extra dollars you're going to get.
Get your 2016 rake back, guys.
That's it. Yeah, get some EV. Indeed, so add that to your schedule. All right, so we got some listener stuff to get to. First off, I want to do one thing. We have a Facebook group, and a lot of people have joined it, and we had a fellow come in there and post a hand that he wanted to get feedback on. His name is Remy Zambroda. It's pretty funny because he posted the hand, and then in the reply, I said, "Oh, thanks for the hand, Remy. I will put it in our notes for the next show, and we'll answer it there." And his response was, "What show are you talking about?" Which I thought was awesome, considering he's joined a Facebook group called the Pokercast podcast Facebook group. But anyways, I did end up talking to him, telling him about the show. I guess he just joined it by searching groups for poker or something. But we're going to get to his hand now.
Found the best one.
Yeah.
Just mashing Facebook buttons.
He is. This is a 5-5 game. It's a live cash game. Normal table dynamic. I'm going to read his notes. The hero has 550. He's in the big blind with the king 3 of clubs. Image is loose. As a few hands before, I value bet all in with a set on a 3 flush board. Villain had flush. Villain is not the same in this hand. Villain in this hand has 900, has him covered. He's under the gun. He's an Asian man in his middle 50s. He is very tight. He didn't play a hand in the last 2 hours. Villain under the gun limps, as do middle position and button. Small blind checks, and hero checks in the big blind with the king 3 of clubs. The flop, $20 in the pot. 5 people to the flop of 7, 8, 9, 7 of diamonds, and the 8, 9 of clubs. So our hero flops a king high flush draw. 3 checks. Middle position bets 20. Hero and villain call. So there's 3 to the turn for an $80 pot, and the 6 of clubs rolls off. So now it is 6, 7, 8, 9, 3 clubs. The hero now, he bets $50 into an $80 pot. The villain calls. He didn't snap call, but he didn't take too much time. The river, and the other guy folds. The river is the jack of diamonds, sort of an airball here. Hero now bets 130 into 180, and the villain snap raises to 300. What does the hero do? He wanted to get what to do in that spot on the river. Also, thoughts on the turn bet. So on the turn, he has, again, the board is 6, 7, 8, 9 with 3 clubs. He's got, the 4th nuts on the turn, and he leads out and gets called. I mean, I don't hate the lead. It's not...
I think it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's...
as you point out, it's not like a super strong hand. It's not the second nuts. But I think it's fine. Like, it's a scary card. They're you'll probably get called by a 10 some of the time at least, or probably a significant portion of the time you're going to get called by a 10. So I think it's fine.
Yeah, I think there's probably a few ways to play it, but that's it's not. I don't think it's bad by any stretch. And all right, so the river is the part I have a problem with. So he bets the turn, gets pretty much snap called by a super tight player that hadn't played a hand in a long time. And he's, like I said, he's got whatever the fourth nuts. The river's 180, and he bets 130 in after that turn action. The villain then snap raises to 300. I don't like the river bet. I think, I understand you have a king high flush on a board like this, but I just think the way you describe the villain in this hand, it seems like that turn action, that's a way that he would play nut flush a lot of the time, right? It would seem to me. I think a lot of his range is ace high flushes. I
agree with that, and I mean, sometimes you're going to feel stupid when it goes check on the river and he shows you a queen high flush.
But
I mean, he actually almost never has a jack high flush, right? And the reason why is because somebody who's very tight and plays one hand an hour, if they have jack 10 suited, they're raising on the flop because they would have flopped a straight.
Exactly.
So they probably don't have a jack high flush very often, and it's hard for them to have other jack high flushes. I mean, the guy's not going to have the jack 7 of clubs and the jack 4 of clubs and so on. So it's really only the queen high club flush against the ace high flush club flush, and then I guess that's his range is pretty narrow if his description is accurate. On the other hand, there's always the whole Adam and Terrence's theorem of sometimes they just lose their mind 5% of the time.
That's true. Yeah, we didn't calculate.
There's always that. So that being said, I mean, I probably fold to this raise if it's somebody I think that's capable of making a blocker raise, then that's a different story. But
yeah, I just think I check the river there when that action happens on the turn. The pot's 180, and I call some reasonable bet a lot of the time. I guess maybe I don't even know. It depends. I would have to be put in that spot to make that decision. But I think.
So what would be awesome is if he had something like the king 10 of clubs, so he had the straight flush blocker, and then he just snap shoves on the other guy and makes him try to fold an ace high flush.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. That's super dangerous, but fun all at the same time. He doesn't provide results, so who knows? Maybe he'll post in the Facebook group. And head on over there if you want to talk to us in the group. Look for the Pokercast. Is that what it's called? I think somebody called it the #1 poker podcast group or something. But you can search
2+2 Pokercast.
2+2 Pokercast, yeah, in the Facebook. All right, so let's get to the mailbag.
And now.
That right there is the mail. Now let's talk about the mail. Can we talk about the mail, please, Malcolm? I'm dying to talk about the mail with you all day, okay?
Mailbag.
So before, Adam, you read the first email, I'm currently on the 2+2 Pokercast Facebook page, and it's so you're the only person left from that profile picture that's still involved in there. It's MJ. It's a very young, youthful looking yourself, Adam. And your friend there, and Mr. James Bunner, who was the longtime, of course, producer of the show and has been replaced. So we're gonna have to Photoshop me and Ross in there on this just really bad Photoshop, skin tone off and everything.
Do that, or take our own pic.
So if somebody wants to jump at that.
Who's gonna be who?
I don't know. We'll figure it out.
We should Photoshop Adam's face over MJ's face, and then Photoshop my face over Adam's face.
That's good. I
think the only photo we have all together is the one with Glenn Weber in Toronto.
Yeah, that'd be a good one.
Oh, and yeah.
All right. Well, when we're in the same city again, we could probably take an actual picture.
This is true.
All right.
Go for it.
Email number 1.
Email number 1.
Jeremiah, hey guys, a long-time listener and a long-time fan. I've been listening since the Rounders days and actually have listened to every single episode you've done. Listen to you guys while I travel on the road and work, which, by the way, is in San Diego, California, about 5,200 miles from Kells. He goes on to say he loves the show again. The reason I'm writing is that I'm going to be in Vegas next week for a work convention. I used to play a lot of 1-2 here in town at the Indian Casino, but have not played a lot since I had kids a few years back. I want to go and get in a few nights of sessions while I'm in town. I look to have a good time playing some poker, but I also like to win. So I wanted to see if you guys could discuss your thoughts on or opinions on a few of the following things. First, a few things about me. I consider myself a decent player. I won the majority of my 1-2 sessions at the local casinos. Play mostly a tight, aggressive style, maybe a little looser depending on the table, but I haven't played in a year. Do you have any recommendations on a good poker room to play in? I want to play in a decent room, but would like to play against other tourists or business people not looking for a room full of local pros and grinders. So he's got 4 points. I think what we'll do here is talk about each point as we read them off. Recommendations for me when you go to Vegas and you're playing, you want to find a good game that's more important to you than maybe close to your room or close to your casino. If you're mostly concerned about how good the game is, you're going to want to go to a casino that a lot of tourists are at. And especially if you're playing 1-2, you're going to find lots of good games at some of the bigger rooms. You go to the Aria, I think, is probably a good room to go play in. A lot of people, won't go play in the Venetian now because of Sheldon Adelson. But if that isn't something that bothers you, you could go over to Venetian. But I think the main concern is to stay away from sort of smaller casinos like, local places, terrible, places
like
where
the Red Rock maybe,
like places where it's going to be local. So that's not really where you want to play if you're looking for good games specifically.
I played at
I mean, most 1-2 games are going to be good in Vegas specifically because it has that tourist turnover. But yeah, as you said, your Bellagio's, your Arias, your Venetians, they're not only that, they're going to be well-run poker rooms. So you'll probably just enjoy your experience a lot more. Just going to do that. I mean, I noticed this a lot of times. They're definitely better run than sort of the local, the smaller poker rooms. And a lot of the times, those smaller poker rooms, if they've only got a couple of tables, they really kind of show a little favoritism towards the locals, or they're just a little nicer. And that's not really what you want. At one of the big, well-run poker rooms, you're probably going to get a better experience in addition to playing with other tourists.
I played at Planet Hollywood briefly when I was there this summer, and that game was popping off.
It was good?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good casino to go play in for sure. Number 2, do you have any thoughts about playing at a table in Vegas in a cash game against these type of players? Any thoughts on what to keep in mind when playing in this type of atmosphere of tourists, businessmen, and people drinking?
Value Town.
Value Town, the hell out of them?
I think that's a good point, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. They were happy to, a lot of those guys didn't come to fold. So
Thin value.
But what I would say is keep the players that you want in the game happy and having fun. There's some people who go and try and piss people off to try and get, adversarial thing going, like, oh, he hates me, he's going to calm me down, whatever. But I think keeping people around is probably the key, especially if they're sort of a casual, that recreational drinking type player. You want to be nice to them, make it fun for them. Yeah,
that shit is amateur hour. What you're talking about, is trying to put people on till they're trying to. That's amateur hour. There's no business in the poker room. I would also say, if you do just kind of randomly end up at a table where it's a bunch of, nitty regs who are unhappy with life, just get a table change. Chances are, if you're in a decent sized poker room like Adam and I recommend, there's probably multiple 1-2, 2-5 games going. So just put yourself on the table change list, and hopefully you get a better table.
Number 3, do you have any thought about table presence or table chat? Is it best to say that I'm in town for a convention, or should I try and state something different? Do you think that makes a difference at all in the type of environment, on how I would be viewed, either positive or negative? And should I adjust my play in any way due to this? T, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I don't think it matters a lot.
No, I don't either.
We're not talking about, if you were to show up at a high stakes game and try to pretend to be some whale and make people play exploitively against you, you might be talking about that. But I think I want to. I think Jeremiah is giving people a little too much credit. It just you could just show up and play and be yourself. You don't need to be any kind of persona or character.
Totally agree. Number 4, where do I find the best titties and bacon in Vegas? Just joking, in brackets, mostly. I think the.
I can answer bacon. I mean,
good
bacon. There's some good bacon at the Cosmo buffet in the morning.
Oh, all buffets.
They actually slice it right in front of you.
Oh, do they really?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a big slab of.
Oh my god!
I guess bacon is technically pork belly, right?
Yeah.
And then they'll just slice it in front of you at a carving station. It's basically a carving, like every Vegas buffet is a carving station. There's just bacon in the morning.
At
least it did. Don't yell at me if it's not there anymore.
Wait, you're telling me there's a carving station for bacon in Vegas?
Yeah, it's at the Wicked Spoon at the Cosmo Buffet.
Excuse me, I'm booking my flight right now. I had no idea. I would have been over there a long time ago. I love the carving stations, but specifically for bacon.
And as titties go, it's pretty hard not to find titties in Vegas. So, yeah, it's you don't need my advice on that.
I would not recommend Olympic Gardens.
Nobody recommends Olympic Gardens.
We took Ross there. It was fun.
Or that other place that was even worse.
Talk of the Town.
Talk of the Town.
Yeah, Matty Sklansky is. He always likes to take you to the worst. It's fun for him. He thinks it's funny to take anybody comes into town to the worst strip clubs in Vegas. Mm. So we go to the seediest part, and he takes you to there. It was kind of fun.
Open carry.
Not really that fun all at the same time. But anyway, so that's that. P.S. Ross, I love the drops, and you're doing a great job, especially voicemail number 4. I also left you guys a rating of 5 stars on iTunes.
Wow.
Thanks for the great show. Keep it up. Please, everybody.
That's correct.
iTunes reviews, we need those to bump up the ladder so we can keep the show going and attract advertisers. Please, please, please head over to iTunes and leave a review for us.
That's good. I like that a lot.
All right.
Email number 2.
Obi writes, "Hey guys, it's Obi from Germany again, still approximately 1,700 kilometers from Kels. Thanks for answering my hands. Thanks for analyzing my hands the other week. I will, from now on, close my eyes when I'm playing pocket tens. I wanted to give you my 2 cents on the VIP changes and then ask you one question. First of all, on the VIP changes, I know you and all the other poker media have talked about this a lot, but I still think there's a room for debate. I am by no means a high-volume player, nor am I a regular online player, but I do think the PokerStars did massive damage to online poker with the changes applied on January 1st. We don't have to go into detail, but there are 2 statements that stand out to me, both from former Team Online members Ike Axton and Alex Millar. Ike stated in his 2+2 post, covering him parting from Team PokerStars, that all this mumbo-jumbo about the ecosystem of online poker is all just a cover for basic cost-cutting, margin-increasing measure. They want to save millions of dollars in rewards just to have better outcome at the end of their quarter fiscal year. I do not think the Supernova elites harm the poker economy in a way that getting rid of them entirely is a correct solution. Lowering rewards, increasing rake for games higher than 510, and so on would probably be the better way to go. That basically leads to what Alex Millar said on Joe Ingram's podcast a couple weeks ago. In his opinion, the people in charge of these changes do not know anything about the online poker economy and therefore have absolutely no clue what these decisions will do for PokerStars in the long run. They were obvious cost-cutting changes made by people working at corporate desk and going through PS books. All in all, I think with these 2 ex-pros, and we know how incredibly smart Ike is, and Alex probably too,
Keep the GTO!
is accurate, and the changes were not really thought through, although apparently it took them more than a year to get them leaked. What do you think about Alex and Ike's statements? Well, I think we've kind of talked a little bit about this. I think they don't, I don't know if PokerStars, the people who are making these decisions, if they really know what's going to happen, but I also don't think Alex and Ike have access to enough data to make these kind of statements saying they know exactly what's good and what isn't good. They might be right, they might be wrong. I don't really know that they're accurate either way, is what I would say about that.
Yep, you nailed it. And sort of as I've mentioned before, like even when you do have access to all the information, that doesn't necessarily mean that you can make correct predictions about forecasting in the future, right? Like you can have all the data and still, economists have a really hard time figuring this stuff out, and it's a really well-studied field, and we still get it wrong all the time. So, only time will tell, really.
Yeah, I totally agree. I don't know that either party is right, and I would doubt either party knows exactly what's going to happen. I don't think Stars knows what's going to happen as a result of this. They might think they do. I'm not 100% sure they do know. I think they're taking a chance. We mentioned that before, but I also don't think the other guys, they might, and they might be right. I'm just saying I don't know how they would know is all I'm saying.
One thing I've noticed that is happening is they reinstated 50, 100, and 25, 50 normal, like in not Zoom. Those
Sure.
games used to be straight up Zoom.
Yeah.
And now I've noticed those games are running every day.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, just shorthanded, 6 max PLO and
non-Zoom.
Some high stakes no limit.
Number 2 in his email, the World Series of Poker Summer. Like every year, I'm thinking about going to the World Series of Poker this summer. If I go, it would be for 10 days, plus or minus. What do you think is the best time to go there? I do not plan on playing a World Series of Poker event, too expensive. I want to play 1 or 2 Venetian, Caesars, or Rio events in the $250 to $350 range. I mostly want to play cash games 1-2 to 1-3. I want to rail some World Series of Poker events, and since I'm a huge fanboy, I obviously want to see the events that are pro-heavy. So when to go, I think you have to wait till the schedule comes out. But if the main idea of you going there is to play cash 1-2, 1-3, no limit, I think you can go pretty much any time and go, even near the end when maybe it's thinned out a little bit, you can still, if you're playing that game, there's so many games around town that you're going to be able to go play at the area like we talked about the last email. I don't think you need to be at the Rio or wherever to play those. Fanboy-wise, I think that's probably your biggest concern as far as going to events and watching them. They're running all those tournaments that you wanted to play in, the smaller 250, 350 all summer, so it doesn't matter when you go. But if you're going to want to rail some big-name pro-heavy type fields, I would certainly think about going during the high buy-in. So, waiting for the schedule to come out is the way to go there.
Yeah, I guess it sort of depends, too, as to what we're defining as pros. I mean, if you want to see all the online superstars, you're going to want, like you said, the big buy-ins. But a lot of the quote-unquote famous television folks don't play in those events, but they might play in something like 1500 horse instead, that kind of thing. So, yeah, and I'll also add, I think everything that you said about cash games is right. You can play it anytime during the World Series. So I think you probably want to plan your schedule around what, the events that you want to play on the Venetian or the Rio events and so on, when those schedules come out, like you said. I'll also add that the last few days before the main event starts is always really fun, just from a pure atmosphere point of view. As you said, we don't know what events will be occurring during that time, but that's always fun. It's also, 4th of July weekend, so Vegas in full swing. On the other hand, that also means hotels are really expensive, but that's also a fun time to go, is just kind of the last few prelims before the main.
Yeah, and Obi asks when we're going, and we usually end up going right before the main event, or right around there. I think last year we went earlier though.
Yeah.
We didn't go during the main event.
The daily deep stacks at the Rio.
I went 48 hours after I fought in a cage. So.
Yeah, you were there for a long time.
Right. The daily deep stacks at the Rio are pretty good value.
Sick juice though, isn't it? Like 20% juice or something?
Yeah, but I mean,
they're just
less than 200. I mean, the afternoon one I think has the longest levels, so it's like a 250 or something. Didn't Bunner won one of those for almost like 20K or something?
Yeah.
Email number 3.
Charlie writes, greetings from Brighton on the south coast of England. I'm guessing about 500 miles from Kells. I've listened to you guys for many years. You're one of my regular top 10 podcasts and entertain me on my commute to work in London. So I wonder whether any of you also listen to favorite podcasts, and if you do, could you recommend a couple to your listeners, apart from Serial, to try out? My suggestions are, for soccer, try the UK Football Weekly, and for film, Simon Mayo and Mark Kemmode's BBC Radio 5 live show podcast. Sure. So I think we've talked a little bit about podcasts, but maybe not a ton. Terrence, what are your favorite podcasts at the moment? Maybe pick 2 of them.
Two? That's really
tough. But
I mean, Hardcore History always makes this list because it's just so awesome. But Hardcore History is almost not a podcast. It's almost like listening to an audiobook.
Yeah.
To be perfectly honest, they're like 4-hour episodes, and that's coming from somebody who does a 3-hour show every week. But he actually, is telling a story for 4 consecutive hours. I enjoy a lot. The Freakonomics podcast is fun. Actually, they're doing an interesting. The timeliness of this is interesting because this week's show was about like prediction markets, and they were talking to professional poker players and stuff like that. That's a good one. I enjoy the Tim Ferriss interview style podcast, This American Life. I can't narrow it down to I've got like 8. I've got like 8 or 9 in my rotation. I'm a big podcast junkie, and that's why I enjoy doing the show. I try to take the best out of the shows that I like and be interesting like them. And sometimes I succeed and sometimes I fail. But I love podcasts, and that's why I'm here doing this. I could never. It's like choosing 2 of my children.
Okay. I'm going to go with my favorite podcast currently and for the last while has been the Jay and Dan podcast. This is two guys who used to do the sports on SportsCenter up here. They were the anchors, and now they are down at Fox Sports 1 in the U.S., but the podcast is almost nothing about sports. It's hilarious. These two guys are the best. And they have a producer that crushes with the drops as well as Roscoe here. So that's my current don't miss. The other one I'm going to talk about is one that I think a lot of people listen to, but just in case you don't, it's called Here's the Thing with Alec Baldwin. And the reason I think this show is fantastic is because next to Howard Stern, I think Alec Baldwin is probably one of the best interviewers out there. He's fantastic at sitting down with somebody. And I think it's a product of a lot of the people he has on his show are people or things that he relates really well with. So it'll be, a star that he's done a show with, or that kind of, or he's also in the industry, so he knows what he can ask, what he can't ask, and he'll always pull off an awesome interview. And some of those are my favorite podcast episodes. Ross, you're any quick suggestions?
Jay and Dan is awesome. Two things that I've been listening to is I've been really into this podcast called Your Mom's House.
I tried. It's tough to listen.
It's a bit out there, but if you like,
Segura is funny. Tom Segura is
jokes
host.
and explicit sexual content, that's a good one. And I actually appeared on my friend's podcast. I'll give them a shout out.
Yeah, right.
It's the Real Dummies.
Oh,
no, it's a different one.
Okay.
My friend started a podcast where they review a song from a Canadian band that they don't even like each week.
Nice.
It's they review a song from the Crash Test Dummies.
Okay.
So I was on there, I think it was episode 15 or something, and we reviewed a Crash Test Dummies
Superman
cover of a Christmas Carol.
Okay.
We didn't really talk about the song that much, though.
That guy's voice, the Crash Test Dummies lead singer's voice. is phenomenal. It's good.
He's a supreme baritone. So Real Dummies podcast. It's on iTunes.
Quick plug.
Please show those guys some love.
Email number.
Lewis writes, Stealth Monk asked a good question on Twitter about if he would have got the same penalty as Antonio did for peeing in a bottle. What are your thoughts? First off, he's got more, but I'll read that, or I'll respond to that. I think you're probably right. I mean, he got DQ'd from the tournament. I don't know what else he could got if Stealth Monk.
Right, he's not going to get banned from the property.
I mean,
right?
it's
that's
realistic.
Basically, I guess the only
possible
other outcome is being banned from the property, which. Yeah, I don't see it. I mean, certainly there are situations I can imagine where someone like Antonio gets a lighter penalty than someone like Stealth Monk. I don't really think this is that situation.
I think some people think Antonio got a heavier penalty because who he is, that he's a big name and they didn't want to be looked at as.
Oh, okay. I never thought of the question that way.
No, that's not his question. That's not his question. Yeah. That's my interpretation of some of the responses that the DQing got. I think some people said, wait a second, if this was a normal person, he might not have been DQ'd, but because it was Antonio, they didn't want to be shown as taking it light on a big poker superstar.
That could be. They may have adjusted too much in that direction.
Yeah. All right. Lewis continues. Also, I was going to phone you guys last week to sing a Birmingham City song as Birmingham went up 1-0 against Bournemouth, but the score swiftly became 1-1, and then Bournemouth made it 2-1 in the 80-something minutes. So no glorious bragging rights for me and no drunken singing for you guys. Be warned, though, that Birmingham plays Sheffield Wednesday on February 6th, our other adopted team. So a phone call and songs from inside the stadium could happen then. I hope this is email number 4. Is that by far my favorite email drop? Keep up that always fantastic work. See how that worked? I slid into number 4. That would be hilarious.
That's the magic of radio.
I want to, first of all, talk about singing in English soccer because it is the greatest thing about. I've been to games there. It's I don't know why this hasn't caught on in.
I never even understand the words, but it's great.
If you know, but yeah, that's the thing. Like if you're a local and you go to the games, you get to know the songs, so you sing and it become part of it. It's a big thing.
Oh yeah,
and you make jokes and it's hilarious. Like how is that not caught? It's the best thing about English soccer.
At MLS.
Do that? Yeah, to an extent. But why is it just soccer? Why isn't it in hockey? Why is like? That'd be perfect to go to a Canucks game and have us singing all kinds of different songs.
Well, it's a poker now if you get a Brazilian at a final table, so.
Yeah, so if we could get some kind of phone call from somebody who listens to our show at an English soccer game and sing one of the chances they're going and maybe explain it to us, that would be literally the nuts.
1-702-799-9949.
Put it in your phone. Put it in your speed dial if you're going to a game. All right, go.
Email number.
It's number 5.
Barry says, hey guys, very quick question. How do you feel about people wearing poker clothing when just in a local casino? Does it affect people's perception of you? Do you just look like an idiot? I'm a big Run It Up fan, but just bottled wearing my hoodie at a local tournament. Oh, and cheeky second question, how much money do each of you have on you right now? Love the show. Happy New Year. By the way, this is an awesome email. Straight to the point. Love it. Except for he didn't go on how great I am. But cash on me right now, I have 20 Canadian dollars. That is the extent of my cash. Roscoe, how much do you have in your pockets right now? Roscoe has 100. One crisp $100 bill.
Yeah.
T, what do you got on you?
All right, I got to count it. So I'm one of these people whose wallet is a disaster. Like, none of the bills are in proper sequential order.
Doesn't that drive you nuts? I can't do that. I have to have them in order.
I'm not very OCD when it comes to this.
I can't do that.
I have 830 Thai baht on me.
Somebody get a go to xe.com.
Does that count?
75 cents?
Let's see, 830 THB to USD. I have $22.86 US.
Why are you converting to US? Now we have to convert to Canadian.
I don't have to convert to Canadian.
You got to go US. What is US? Why don't you just go ahead and convert to Australian dollars?
It'd be like $16 Canadian.
I'm a proud Canadian as much as anybody else here, but we know the official recognized gambling currency of the universe is the United States dollar. And this is indisputable.
We're not gambling here. We're just counting. Anyway.
So I win. Oh,
you win the money.
I'm richer than
you
guys.
You have the most monies.
Yeah.
That's indeed. All right, the first part of his question, how do we feel about people wearing poker clothing? I think it's, I don't think less of a person because he's got to run it up, especially if it's a run it up hoodie. I mean, Jason's awesome. I would be talking to the guy about run it up forever if I saw the guy. But maybe not everybody thinks that and they snicker or whatever. The 3-bet clothing is, by the way, I wouldn't go out of my way to go buy 3-bet clothing, but it looks super comfortable.
It is.
Like the quality is there.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to buy like a World Series of Poker shirt and wear it to the poker.
Yeah, I'm torn about that.
Yes. You would say yes to buying the 3-bet clothing, but no to wearing the WSOP clothing. That's if I'm
No. What I'm saying is I won't go out. The World Series of Poker clothing sucks as far as quality goes, so I'm not going to wear that. The 3-bet is quality, comfortable clothing. It's built for sitting around a poker table for 6 hours. So
if you're just in a situation where it's like, oh, they cranked the air conditioning too much, I need a hoodie. You're going to stop by the 3-bet booth before the WSP booth.
Correct.
That makes perfect sense.
Crystallized my thoughts, Terrence Chan. How do you feel about people wearing the?
Yeah, I mean, I'll actually say the same thing as you. Like, run it up. That I would be down with that. But largely, yeah, I don't know. I think poker clothing is definitely a bit lame for the most part. Does it affect people's perception of you? Maybe.
I think it might.
A lot of the times, like the ones that I like are like jackets from like a local casino, right? Where it's like some podunk casino, like somewhere in the middle of nowhere, and the guy's like wearing his local jacket to the World Series. I love stuff like that because I just know that this dude has been just like grinding the game every day for like the last whatever. And he probably got the jacket because he has like a million of whatever their frequent player points are.
Yeah.
Or he won like the high hand, of the month or something like that. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't worry about it too much. If you like the clothes, wear it. I mean, this is why poker is a great game. You just wear whatever makes you happy and makes you comfortable.
That's true. I think that if you definitely find yourself profiling people. If somebody sits down at your table and they're wearing the full WSOP kit, that person is usually not a grade A opponent.
No.
But the Run It Once hoodie,
Different
I would
story.
say that person knows what they're doing.
Can play a little better.
So yeah.
Email number
6.
George from Cincinnati, which is 3,775 miles from Kellis, as he calls it. Hi, Adam and Terrence Ross. Thank you for the great shows. All the hard work it must take you each week to keep us entertained. I was playing in a live deep stack no limit multi-table tournament when I got moved to a new table. While waiting for the hand to finish, when I got to my new table, a player who had folded at the table asked me if I was Glenn Beck's doppelganger. I've heard this before. The table got a good laugh at the comment. After a couple of hands, another player at the other table said the initial player making the comment looks like Bill Murray. This also got a nice laugh at the table. All very fun and talkative. Soon after, the other players were calling us Glenn and Bill. The conversation morphed into, what 3 famous people would you like to cast in one of the Poker After Dark episodes that you would also be playing in? Also, of the famous people, which would be the best poker player? My choices were Brooke Burke, she's hot, Steve Harris, Iron Maiden bass player, and Wayne Gretzky. I don't think Brooke would be a very good poker player, but I would hope she'd stay around a while. Since both Gretzky and Harris have spent a lot of time on the road with their careers, I would guess that they played some cards to kill time while traveling. So between those two, my guess would be Steve Harris. Mostly because he's from England, and musicians in general seem to have more potential for a gambling, degenerate lifestyle. First, do any of the 3 of you have a doppelganger? Second, who would be your 3 famous people selections for the 6-handed sit and go? So, I mean, doppelganger, I've been told that I look like Philip Seymour Hoffman, who's now dead, so that kind of bothers me. But there's a local, there's this local show.
Mahoney.
Yeah. There's a local show now here in Canada called The Liquidator. Have you seen The Liquidator? It's a fantastic television show.
Cancel cable.
Oh, you canceled, yeah. There's a guy named Jeff Schwartz he's a liquidating business, and he drives around Vancouver.
Oh, yeah.
Buying
Okay,
and selling.
I have stumbled upon
It's
that
hilarious.
show.
It's a great show. And my wife tells me I look like this guy. But other than that, no, I haven't really got anybody else. Terrence, you?
I might have told this story on the show before, but I remember playing in a World Series event like 3 or 4 years ago, and we're playing, and then we'd go on break, and then a railbird comes up to me, and I don't remember, I don't know if he wants I think he wants a picture, and he comes up to me. He says, "Excuse me, Mr. Dang." So apparently, my doppelganger is D-Dang, which I kind of see it, I guess.
Okay.
But yeah, and this was, of course, back when the Dang brothers were killing everything in high stakes poker. So I don't know that I have a real world famous Hollywood level doppelganger. Oh, there's a guy in the UFC that Robin thinks I look exactly like. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but we'll find it. I'll slide that into the end of the show once I Google it correctly. But that's about it.
Roscoe?
When I was growing up, my grandma told me that I looked like Prince William.
Oh, okay. I can see that.
And I've had people tell me that I look like Will Ferrell.
Oh, yeah, maybe. With a different haircut. It's because you're tall. But, all right, 3 guys I'd want to play poker with. They'd all be musicians, I think. I'd all want to hear, Roadsters, some of my favorite musicians. So, I don't know, Morrissey and a bunch of guys like that. As far as and he mentioned Wayne Gretzky, and he wouldn't be. Wayne Gretzky is a giant gambler. I don't know if you ever heard the story about him and bookie with Rick Tocchet, and he used to. A friend of mine worked in a casino in Ontario when he lived he's back home in Brantford, but and in Toronto, and him and his wife come in all the time, and they love to gamble it up pretty big time. So. Those guys, or that guy specifically, does like to gamble. T, who would you want to play poker with?
I'm the worst guy to ask because I know so few celebrities and
well, you don't
people
have to be a celebrity
of this nature.
Or an MMA player.
That's I feel like that's the sort of the point of the question, or the spirit of the question, right?
Right. Okay, fair enough. Roscoe?
Sorry, what was the question?
Well, at least I understood and was paying attention and heard the question.
Yeah.
All right, we'll move on then.
Email number 7.
Tom, hey guys. First of all, thanks for asking my question about the tournament spot last week. I found the advice very helpful, and I won't take deals into account in the future when making decisions. I have a few questions about a PLO game I sometimes play in London, and I'm hoping to get some advice as you're all experienced in PLO. One of the games that runs nightly on a nightly basis is a 1-2 mixed format dealer's choice PLO game. In this case, the dealer gets to choose the PLO variant of 4, 5, or 6 card single board PLO, or 4, 5, or 6 card triple board PLO. In triple board PLO, 3 flops, turns, and rivers are dealt, and the player must win 2 out of the 3 boards to scoop the pot. The minimum buy-in is £50, and there is no max. The average stack varies, but it's usually 200 to 300 big blinds. Although the game plays deeper later at night, the game is usually 6-handed, I guess so, with all those cards out, or shorter, and players usually call triple flop 5 card and single flop 6 card. The game is small, but good mix of complete amateurs, decent live pros, and mediocre aggro hold'em regs. The game usually starts at 8 p.m. each night, but only lasts for about 8 hours because somebody usually ends up breaking the game by winning all the money. My questions are as follows. I can't seem to find any real strategy sources for Triple Board Omaha. Do you have any recommendations on what to read or watch? Alternatively, do you have any general strategy considerations or pointers?
I have a question.
There's going to be zero strategy sources for Triple
Is it
Board
highest hand wins or split the pot 3 ways?
No, you have to win 2 out of 3 boards.
Yeah, you got to win 2 out of 3 boards to win the pot. There's going to be nothing as far as.
So thinking about this a little, it seems to me that that rundowns and nut flushes are going to be more important than regular because, well, actually, nut flushes are tough because if you're using the cards from one board to make a flush and then you have to make flush cards on another board, you're kind of card removing yourself. And I was thinking that's the same kind of thing for when you flop sets as well, right? So if you have kings and you're looking to flop a king, once you do it on one board, there's only one king to come on the remainder of the boards. So it looks like rundown hands are the most valuable, right? Because if you have something like Jack 10 9 8, you could make straights on all the boards quite easily.
You mean 7 8 9 10 Jack? It's 6 card Omaha a lot of the time.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So well, I guess even more so big rundown hands. The problem, of course, with like straights is that they're not as good as flushes and full houses. And so if you've got 6 cards on board, you know a straight isn't going to hold up nearly as often as it does in a regular PLO. So then you go back to needing to make full houses and flushes, and so. I mean, shit, I have no idea.
How tilting would it be if you made a royal flush on one board and the other person won with like one pair on 2 boards?
Yeah, that's quite possible.
Yep, that would happen.
The single flop ones, when you're playing 5 and 6 card Omaha with single flop, I've played 5 card Omaha a fair amount, and you can just basically assume the nuts is out there a lot of. I mean, you're playing shorthanded, so maybe not as much. I tended to play 5 card with like 8 players, so if the nuts was. You could just assume the nuts was out there most of the time and, act accordingly. So, but yeah, I mean, it's going to be tough to, but that's excellent point to you as far as rundown hands goes. Number 2, is short or medium stacking a good strategy for this game? Or should I be buying in with deep stack every time? I think that's, correct me if I'm wrong, T, but I would say that is relative to your perceived skill level over the other people in the field. Whether if you're playing with complete donks and they all have 200 big blinds and you're buying in for 50, it might be a mistake. But if you're not confident with how you're playing in the game, maybe short stacking is the way to go until you are.
Well, so I mean, the reason why people short stack in, say, like online games or in whatever games is often you do gain an advantage from short stacking games when other people are willing to bet each other out of pots, which I think is going to be a factor in this game. So, all else being equal, if you're just as good at 100 big blinds as you are at 300 big blinds, then you should be more inclined to buy in at 100 big blinds. It might matter less once you get to those deep numbers because we're not talking about like 30, 40 big blinds. But yeah, I mean, it is. The relative skill is probably the most important thing.
Given how swingy 5-card triple flop Omaha is it theoretically possible to iron out the variance when my sessions are limited to 1 or 2 8-hour sessions a week? No, you're probably not going to anywhere come close. I wouldn't think in 2 8-hour sessions a week to ironing out variance in 4-card PLO. Never mind 6-card.
It's not clear to me that it's more swingy. Actually, I would think that triple flop Omaha is probably less swingy than regular. But, I mean, I have no math to back that up, but that's sort of my intuitive take on it, just based on, like, if you're more selective with your starting hands and you're going to hit boards more frequently than your opponents, then I wouldn't necessarily assume the variance is higher. Just because the game is crazier does not mean the mathematical variance is higher.
I think my intuition says that it would be a more skillful game. I think the better.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah. Thinking about it. Okay. Well, I hope that helps, and good luck in those games. To Tom.
Email number
0800.
JP, dear Adam, Terrence, and Ross, I've been listening to Pokercast about 2 years now. I love the content, information, and entertainment. I've mainly played No Limit Hold'em for years now, but have recently transitioned to PLO. I played 1-2 No Limit Hold'em, but I'm playing smaller at PLO and trying to work my way up. My question is about non-nutted full houses. At the moment, my biggest losses all seem to be with full houses that are not the nuts. How should I be approaching these hands? Should I be folding, calling, raising regardless, and being sad when I lose? Or should I be paying more attention to board textures and giving people playing 70, 25, 50 more credit. Well, I would say out of position, non-nut full houses, you probably want to exercise a bunch of pot control. I don't think you want to play big, huge, bloated pots out of position with non-nut hands in PLO. I think you got to be careful. I mean, a lot of the times, if let's say I've got 7, 8, 9, 9, and the flop comes Jack 9, 7 or something like that, and I turn a 7, and there's a ton of action, and you're playing super deep, a lot of the times you're going to be up against either quads or top set, full house. So, or bottom set in PLO is going to be tough to play all the time, especially out of position. So, you're allowed to bet fold in PLO, and I think sometimes that's what you're going to have to do with your non-nut full houses.
Yeah, to me, it's not so much about what happens once you have the full house. It's more about what you did on earlier streets, and I think your example is really good. So if you have Jack 9-7 and you have pocket nines, you are not going to have the nuts on the turn unless you turn a 9. So that's sort of the thing where a lot of people would think, well, I should bet. You know, I've got a set. I definitely have to make a bet here. And a lot of times, like you say, pot control is the main thing, right? Another thing that happens is, you know, if you flop trips on a board, and you know, like let's say it comes Queen 6-6 or something like that, and you have 7-6-5-4, right? So you have trips, but again, like the full house that you make is not going to be the nuts, regardless, because you've got the overcard out there, right? So you could be drawing dead to begin with, or even if you're not drawing dead, you're very, very likely to be beaten by somebody else with a bigger full house at some point during the hand. So it's not so much about like, oh, I've got this full house, now what do I do? You have to kind of take a step backwards to the previous street and say, what's the hand that I'm building, right? And that's the fundamental difference between, especially at like the lower stakes or in multi-way pots or in full-handed games. Of the difference between PLO and no limit hold'em, PLO is more about what your hand is going to be, and no limit hold'em is a lot more about what your hand is now.
Right.
And that's the really big difference. And the skillful PLO players are the ones who put the other people in bad situations where they end up just having the second nuts, the third nuts, the fourth nuts, and you're going, oh shit, what do I do now? Is he bluffing? Is he not? The best thing to do is sort of not be in that spot, and that all starts with pot control in the earlier streets.
Email number
9.
That might be the best one, actually.
That's an underrated. That's an underrated one, really. Everybody loves.
We don't get to 9 every week, so it's
people got to start showing that one some love. Amanda from Sweden. Hey, hello, Adam, Terrence, and Ross. Thanks again for a great show each week. Found a favorite thing which I would like to share. A bit long, but sorry, but it totally changes the perspective on the game of poker, its evolution, and possibly its future. Poker started out and has always been a way of networking. Instead of going to parties or other social gatherings, we have met so many different people from so many backgrounds and professions at the poker table. If we need a taxi, we would likely know who to call. If we need some paint, a dentist, a pizza, a car, a haircut, a hotel, just name it, we would know somebody trustworthy in each profession because we met them at the poker table. Nowhere else have I met people from so many different places. But most intelligent people by now have realized how profitable the game is, quit their professions, and turned into professional poker players. This is why the game of poker is slowly dying and losing its glamour and attraction to normal people who are there to create social networks and share their stories with other interesting people from all parts of society instead of balancing ranges and running equity calcs in their heads. It's not the headphones and the hoodies that are the problem. The problem is that non-poker players are no longer getting anything out of it, socializing with these poker people who keep increasing in numbers and who are deadly serious about the game, knowing nothing interesting outside of it. These stories and characters and rumors that we miss from the past are slowly disappearing because there are no longer any farmers or road gamblers or magic players, musicians or teachers, not even students. Now, when the media asks a random guy at the table what he's doing outside of poker, there's no impressive answers because poker is his profession. It's not the fish that is missing. There will always be aspiring poker pros tilting off a bunch of money, and it's theoretically fully possible to make money from other winning players but by outworking them, but finding and exploiting their leaks. But money in itself is not motivating for most people. The game itself is not very appealing for people who are not prepared to dedicate their lives to it. People like to learn things, to achieve goals, to create opportunities, to meet other interesting people, to hear amazing stories. This huge network that poker has previously created is slowly turning into a social bubble consisting of poker pros only. This might be the reason why the live tournament scene is still booming despite fewer games running at smaller casinos. PokerStars have made amazingly good decisions during the few years by bringing in superstars to the game like Nadal, Neymar, and Ronaldo. Who would not like to sit at the same table as Cristiano Ronaldo at the PCA? This also explains why the World Series of Poker is so popular. The big tournament where people from different parts of the world and still different kinds of professions gather in one place. We talk about bringing the game to mainstream, but the thing is that the mainstream is not interested in the game. The mainstream is interested in meeting the people playing the game. Those guess who I played with lately expressions filled with excitement are slowly declining as more and more players become pure professionals. So this favorite thing of mine is a 1 hour plus seminar at MIT by Aaron Brown about the history and economics of the game. It makes total sense, and she provides a link. This is an awesome email, and when I read it, I hadn't thought about it, but it totally made sense to me because, you know, Terrence and I have been around poker for a long time. We met a lot of our friends over our lifetime, and she talks about the fact that, you know, you meet all kinds of different people. If you need something, you've met somebody in that field. And it's funny because my wife used to say, "Oh, you need a guy, talk to Adam. He's got a guy for everything." And that totally makes sense. Like the environment isn't welcoming because everybody is there and has nothing to say. And I really thought this email was on point, T.
Yeah, absolutely. And I still think about, you know, my own social network or something like that. If I wanted to know something about the finance world, I might ask Jason Stresser. If I want to know something about the psychology world, I might go to Matt Harvalenko, who's now doing his doctorate in psychology. Like there's still some remnants of this. But, you know, for the large part, you're right. The headphones and the hoodies are sort of a metaphor for the idea that poker players are really just that now. They're just poker players. And, you know, it's not their fault because the fact is they happen to be 21 years old when they could turn on at an age where they could turn on their computers and make $300 an hour. That's who wouldn't have done that when they were, you know, 21 years old. And now these guys are 28, 29 years old and all they've done is play poker. I'll say that, I mean, you do see a lot of today's poker elite now branching out and doing different things and finding life interests and all of these kind of things. And I think the average poker pro is getting a bad rap for not being well-rounded in this sort of way, because I do think a lot of them are. And so there are a lot of great stories out there. You know, we try to interview and find them every week on the show. You know, we try to find interesting people. We're not as interested in the hoodie and sunglasses crowd. But absolutely right. I mean, I think Amanda nails it with it being fun to meet new people at the table and exciting people at the table and have interesting conversations. That's who I like to have at my table when I'm at a live game table for sure.
Indeed. All right, so we've got one more email. We'll save it for next week. It's from Graham. It's a little bit of a longer one with a hand in it, so we'll do that next week. We got some Roscoe Report to get to.
Good old Roscoe. Sure glad he's all right.
Listen, boy, you gotta pick your spots good. You gotta make hay while the sun shines. Hey, good. You dipstick!
It's time for a Roscoe Report.
Okay.
Nice. Before we start with a hand of yours, I want to just throw this at you guys and get your reaction. I was playing some Zoom on Stars. I flatted a 6 max, obviously. I flatted a raise, this is PLO, on the button with the 6, 8, 9, 10. And the flop comes deuce 4, 9, 4, deuce, rainbow. Again, 9, 4, deuce, rainbow. I have 6, 8, 9, 10. And me and the pre-flop raiser are the only two people in the hand. He leads at the pot. And I'm thinking, what's my raising range here? And I'm thinking, I think 100. My raising range here is 100% with this hand. I have a 9 blocker. The flop against 9-4 deuce rainbow. My range hits this flop better than his range does. If he's sticky with aces.
If you're saying you have a 9 blocker, that's like you're saying what's your range, but you're saying I have a 9 blocker when you're having the range has nothing to do with what hand you have now.
Right. Sorry. Yeah. No, I'm just saying in this specific hand. But running through it, two separate thoughts. I have a 9 blocker in this hand, but what's my range also hits that flop better than his does, right?
Sure.
Because I'm flatting on their button with, in position, etc. But this specific hand, as you want to point out there, T, is I do have a 9 blocker, so I'm raising 100% of the time in this spot. I'm always
under
raising.
the gun, you don't raise. You limp in there.
Nice. Thoughts on that, T? How are you playing that hand?
Yeah, I mean, I certainly don't think raising 100% of your distribution is a good idea. I think raising with a 9 blocker is fine. I also think floating with a 9 is fine, just, because you're going to win on the turn most of the time by just floating and betting the turn as well. I think both are good, but yeah, I don't know if I would just blindly hit the raise button every time it comes 9-4 deuce.
Roscoe, what's your thoughts on that?
I agree with that. I think you mix it up.
Yeah.
Okay. You can make a lot of 2 pairs. And yeah, definitely floating. I guess,
I just want to put the guy in a bad spot in the flop, knowing that he's going to have to call a whole bunch of money out of position.
I guess
if he wants to get if he wants to get to showdown with 2 aces, it's going to suck for him. Is what I'm
But he might he might also have the top of it. He could have the 9-10 Jack Queen or something like that, and stick around, catch 2 pair on the turn, and,
right?
Then now you're the guy bluffing and being a spaz. So
yeah, but at least I'm in control of the hand. I'm in position, and I mean, yeah, he could, if he has the 9-10 Jack Queen and he does hit, then it's different. But what if he misses? If it comes 4 and it comes 9 deuce 4 and then a 4, and I've raised the flop and he's got that hand that you say, and then he checks and I bet again, I'm going to win a lot there too, right?
I mean, again, but if you're really just talking about raising all of your range, I think that's a really bad idea.
I mean, I'm obviously being facetious. I'm going to raise a lot there is what I was trying to say. I'm going to raise a lot of the time.
Yeah, I hate getting 4-bet there on that board.
3-bet, you mean, on the flop? So he bets, I raise.
You check raise.
No, I'm in position.
Oh, you're in position.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3-bet, getting 3-bet is okay. Yeah, in position, it's better.
I don't mind getting 3-bet there because it's a lot of the times it's aces, and I've got some equity as well there against 2 aces. Anyway, all right. So let's get on to your specific hands.
Okay, only 2 hands.
So you're playing live this week?
Yeah,
this is the 5.
I played 2 short sessions where I just got in the most standard hands ever. Top set versus big draw.
These what they are?
Giant big draw versus 2 pair. So. No, these 2 hands are from last night.
Okay, so this is the live 1-2-5 game. Here, I'll read the hands. You tell us about it, all right?
Okay.
There's a limp out of the gun, called in between, and you raise to 25 in the cutoff with ace-jack 10-3 with the ace-3 of hearts. The button calls, the big blind calls, the limpers call. 5 players, 125. The flop is 10 of spades, jack of spades, 4 of hearts. You flop top 2 with a backdoor heart draw. Checks to me, I bet pot. Button repots, folds back to me. How deep are you playing here?
Oh, I didn't mention that. We both have, he has 800 and I have 1,000.
So, okay.
So he repots to 600.
So you're playing really deep here. You got top 2. The best case scenario, if you're going to get a whole bunch of money in here, is, you're going to be up against some kind of draw that you're flipping against. The worst case scenario is you're up against 10s or jacks, right?
Yeah.
So, I'm thinking that I guess it depends on the player. Is this guy somebody who's going to make it painful for you the rest of the way?
I was really unfamiliar with him, but he was young. He sat down recently and had been active. He bought in for 800, which I usually would correlate that with being a thinking player.
Right.
If he buys in deep.
So he repops you in the flop, right? You bet full pot. Sorry, there's 125. So you bet what, 120 or something like that?
I bet the pot.
You bet 125 into 125, and he repotted. So, yeah, I mean, I think first of all, I'd probably not bet full pot there. Not that it's going to make a huge difference because this guy's probably going to raise anyway. Second off, I think you probably have to fold. I don't know how you're going to get all your money in and like it at any point. Terrence?
Yeah, it sucks because I'm not generally in the habit of folding top 2. But you're right. If you're ever going to do it, this is time. If the pot were all in, and so I'm just getting 2-1, then I'm probably calling. But you're actually getting a little worse than 2-1 because there's money behind even after he repots. So the chances that you are up against jacks is kind of shitty. So I'm sort of inclined towards folding too, but it's a pretty gross spot. So basically just based on how deep you are, I guess it's a marginal fold.
Right.
What was the result?
Okay, so what happened was I thought about it and
long tank? Can you give him the 2-minute tank?
No, I don't. I've never tanked for 2 minutes. So I mean, I have backdoors, backdoor straight draw.
Yeah.
2 backdoor straight draws.
You do. Again, you have the ace jack 10 3 with the ace 3 of hearts.
I'm blocking 2 sets. I think it's really scary for him to repot with bottom set. So I thought blocking the top 2 sets. I just figured.
Let's get it in.
So be it.
Let's shimmy the money in.
So be it. You know, you don't get too many great spots in a live PLO game.
I don't know that this is a great spot, but okay.
I mean, it's not a great spot, but you know. So I went all in.
Yeah.
He called.
And what has he got?
Turn was a jack.
Oh, hi.
Well, that's a good hand.
That's
a good card.
River was a 4.
Quads?
No.
Oh.
I turned over jack 10 and he mucked.
Oh, okay. So you're up against a huge draw at some point. Interesting. Yeah. I mean, I think results aside, I think I still fold that. All right. Number 2. Raise under the gun. +2. 1 call between. 1,800 effective. Wow, you got a big. Oh, this is after the other hand.
Yeah.
So you got a big stack. You 3-bet in the cutoff with 5, 7, 8, 9 diamonds and clubs. You 3-bet to 55. The button raises to 200. Big blind flats fold to me and I call. We see a flop of ace, king, queen, 2 clubs. So you have the 9 high flush draw with the 5, 7, 8, 9.
Yeah.
Checks around. Turn is the 8 of clubs, giving you a flush. Checks to me, you bet 500. Again, here, I don't think I'm going to bet. There's one behind you, right? The button, who's a pre-flop raiser. Ace. Let's look at the flop here.
Very active
Hang on.
players.
Let's look at the flop. Ace of spades, king of clubs, queen of clubs. So for him to check the flop with the ace high flush draw, unlikely, right? Because he's going to have top 2 a lot of the times with his flush draws.
Yeah.
Or he can't because he's got the king, queen of clubs. No, he still can, of course.
Yeah, he can.
Omaha, what am I thinking?
Got other cards.
So he can have top 2 with a nut flush draw. He's not going to check often with the ace high flush draw. Does he have the 10 jack or 10 of jack, the 10 or jack high flush draw very often? Probably not. So your 9 of clubs is your 9 high flush draw kind of looks good on the turn. But again, I think I probably am going to check call here and keep the pot. You've already, what do you got, 500 in the middle already?
700.
700 in the middle. So I think I'm probably going to check and then decide at that point. You bet 500. I don't know, T, do you like the bet on the turn?
I agree with basically everything you just said. I think I'm checking there as well. And I'm obviously value betting the river if it checks around.
If it goes check again. Yeah.
Okay. I agree with you.
Check call. Okay.
Check call.
Most of the time, depending on how it went. But
okay. Well, I thought that it's really hard for them to have a flush in this scenario. These 2 players are very active. They're piling a lot of draws. Definitely a flop straight.
Okay.
So you're not going to get 2 streets of value.
You're not getting money out of a straight.
Oh, of course not. Yeah. But I want people to fold their equity.
Well,
so they could have sets. They could have a lot of sets.
You want to offer them a bad price to call with their equity.
Okay.
Not fold their equity, right? Okay, so
I think I'm in a really, really tough spot if it checks. He bets a huge it's.
Well, you bet you bet 500.
I know, but if say I check, and then he makes a big bet on the turn. It's like he has the hammer effect where I am scared to call and then face another giant bet on the river with the.
So are you going to fold if he raises the 5? When you bet the 500 and he raised, are you going to fold?
I would think about it. Yeah. So I
mean, I don't hate the bet. I mean, I think
it's easier to play if I bet. And I think they perceive me as somebody who's not, blocker bluffing often.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of looks to me like you want everybody to. It's one of those bets where you just please fold, everybody fold. Let me have the pot. Right? I mean, that's what it seems like to me. Like you're made that bet, so you hope everybody would just fold, no matter what they had. Which, I mean, I think I just check and decide at that point if he bets. But anyways.
Yeah, I mean, Ross won me a little bit, like convinced me a little bit that I feel like the reasoning is not bad here. I mean, I think that you get raised very infrequently, and so that makes betting a little bit safer. I'm not sure if I agree with the thought process. Well, I don't want to check and call once and then be forced to the big bet on the river. I mean, that's just how poker is sometimes.
Yeah.
But I don't hate the bet.
Give us the results.
The button tanked for a while and mucked, and then the other person snap mucked.
Oh, okay.
So he had
a blocker. He probably had a blocker.
He had top set with the nut flush blocker.
Oh, he checked the top set on the flop, huh? Interesting. Yeah, I mean that hand is totally in his range.
He doesn't want to get. We're super deep, right? So he doesn't want to have to get check potted on the flop versus a straight,
right?
And then have to call off drawing to 10 outs.
I don't think I buy that he had top set with a blocker there. I think he probably bets that flop a ton of the time.
Yeah.
And then also a lot of the time is going to put pressure on you when you bet the turn. So I don't know. I don't really buy it too much. All right, that's going to do it for the Roscoe Report. We do have a couple of voicemails, but why don't we save those for next week? We were on long here. We had a whole ton of email. Let's give us some content for next week's show. I want to thank Leo Wolpert for joining us, fresh off his win of that Turbo today, and joining us, playing a little Poker Jeopardy, which was a ton of fun. Maybe we'll play that again soon. T, thanks for joining us in cloudy Thailand. I hope the weather's not a total disaster for you there.
It might even rain here, Adam. It might even rain.
What's this world? You better fly out of there quick. And Roscoe for coming in to come from the city out to the suburbs. Much appreciated. And you for listening to the show. Thanks so much. We're burning through all our mail, so send us an email, pokercast@2plus2.com. And head on over to iTunes and give us a fancy review. That's going to help us out with our advertisers and such. Much appreciated. We will talk to you next week.
I'm doing a poker show.
Fuck it, dude. All right. So some guy joined the PokerCast Facebook group, posted a hand that I've copied and pasted into the notes. It's a pretty interesting hand. And I replied in the group. I said, okay, I'll answer it, or we'll answer it on the show this week. And his response was, what show? Which is awesome.
Is he trolling?
No.
Thanks for joining us. The 2+2 PokerCast has been presented to you by the PokerStars VIP Club.